welcome to another episode of Panel on Panels, the podcast about all things comics and comics related. I'm your host, John Campbell. Joining me, as always, my intrepid co-host, Mike Rigoni.
I'm intrepid now, eh?
Yes. Well, we always write that, but this is the first time we've said it.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And Donovan Eilert.
Hi, everybody. And now he's intrepid. Am I a quadruped?
Yes, that's it.
No, you're just trepid.
Trepid.
He's intrepid.
I'm outrepid. You're intrepid. I'm outrepid.
There it is. Intrepid and outrepid. We got to get you guys shirts.
I'm
That would be
exotrepid,
great.
actually.
Exotrepid.
There you go.
We do need those shirts.
Yes. Well, those shirts will be available.
If anybody's listening who makes shirts,
Please make
giving you
shirts
about
for
10
us.
ideas.
Yeah,
If we could just have like a,
Yeah, this podcast is nothing but ideas for shirts.
we're changing the.
And then sometimes we talk about comics.
Occasionally.
Welcome to the episode where we change everything and just talk about T-shirts the whole time. You've made it. If
Yeah.
you're listening to this for comic books, we're sorry, but they'll come up.
Too bad. It's
They
Occasionally.
come up occasionally,
Yeah,
yes.
they come up when they come up.
If you have any T-shirt making
Story
friends,
of my
though, refer
lifetime.
them to this podcast.
Hey, this show is free. No, today we are not talking about T-shirts. We are talking about this new movie that's come out. I don't know if people have heard of this. Maybe it's a little indie film, little sleeper called Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Just a tiny little movie.
Just a little movie, or Marvel's
Wait, stop
Avengers:
for a
Age
second.
of Ultron.
You know how sometimes I do that thing where I don't listen all the way?
Yeah.
So I went and saw a movie this weekend.
Uh-oh. You went to Age of Adeline?
I did go to Age of Adeline.
Oh, no.
I've seen that on a couple of marquees and having to do double takes.
It has age in the title.
I know.
That was the key word I was listening for.
How would you open up against Age of Ultron?
I really think that was a calculated decision to open that movie now,
Just to
hoping
confuse
that
people.
they're going to get a few ticket sales just based on confusion, right?
In all seriousness, I did see that movie this weekend as well.
You
Really?
you actually did see Age
Oh,
of
sorry.
Adeline?
No, I saw it on Tuesday.
You actually saw Age of Adeline?
Yeah.
How was it?
I think that
Out of seven,
here's what-
7.5.
out of 7.5,
Yeah.
I give that a solid 2.75.
Ooh,
That's a solid.
a solid 275.
Yeah. Here's what I will say.
I took a solid
is a- hang
275
on.
this morning.
This is amazing. I did not know. This was not a setup to because I didn't know you saw this.
no, I legitimately saw this.
This is amazing.
I also
Forget
did see
Age of
I
Ultron.
also did see Age of Ultron. by the
Okay,
way.
all right, good.
Here's what the movie should have been titled.
Yes.
Blake Lively plays Vandal Savage, a.k.a. Everything's Better with Harrison Ford.
Yes.
The moment he shows up in that movie, which is way too long in that movie, everything gets better. He's incredible.
I saw the trailer for that movie, and I'm watching it just going like, all right, Harrison Ford?
He is so great.
Why is Han Solo in this movie?
Couldn't the after colon title of any movie be Everything is Better with Harrison Ford?
Yeah,
True.
I think
Because whether he's in it or not, it's still
Right.
true.
everything is better. There is an actor though who plays him. You know the whole idea. If you're not familiar with the concept, Blake Lively,
Is a killer robot.
she's a killer robot who doesn't age.
Wait, why am I not seeing this movie?
No, you would love it, John. She's an assassin robot from the future, sent
Yeah,
back in the
that
past.
sounds like everything I watch.
But there's somebody who plays young Harrison Ford because when you meet Adeline, she's like 100 and something years old, and everybody else ages. Well, you see her interactions in like the 60s with young Harrison Ford. The guy who plays young Harrison Ford kills it. He has the voice down. He has the mannerisms and that like kind of smirk
Very
down.
cool.
He's what you go see the
Could
movie
he
for.
play a young Han Solo in
Oh.
Star Wars Origins?
I feel like he could.
Dang.
I really feel like. I mean, he's got it down. In fact, the first thing he says, he's
Like Josh Brolin, Tommy Lee Jones good?
yeah.
Oh,
He's
wow.
from
Your move, Disney.
He's from like behind, and you hear him say something to her. And I thought they had taken Harrison Ford's voice and dubbed over.
Wow.
And then I found out as you watch him speak, it's not dubbed over. He's just doing it beautifully.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that movie. Here's my biggest issue with the movie.
Okay.
Nothing in the acting was that poor. The plot isn't that bad.
There's a lot of good actors in
What the issue is the science fiction element that they try to bring in is so flimsy. And at the end of the movie, they underwrite everything they talk about the entire time.
Wow, he added extra vowels into that
Yeah.
everything.
That's-
Everything.
That was
It was-
Dr. Cox
I
level.
was going to
of-
say, that was a John C. McGinley delivery.
Thank you very much. I've been going for that lately. No, it is
Healy.
it's brutal how they switch that. And then there's this weird narration that goes over it that you feel like I don't know. They try to be Morgan Freeman over the top of it. You know, like if Morgan Freeman was doing it, it would have been successful. But it's like a normal guy just being like, and she fell into this icy cold water and was struck by lightning, and now she no longer ages. And like, that's,
spoiler alert.
Wait, was that actually?
That's the thing is, her heart stops because she gets hypothermia in a matter of seconds in freezing cold water.
Like you do.
Mm-hmm. It takes a bit longer.
Like you do.
Anyways, her heart stops.
Sure.
She gets struck by lightning, which restarts her heart. Which, by the way, if your heart stops beating, it cannot restart beating. You can only knock it back into fibrillation. You know that, right? That, like if your heart completely stops, you're dead.
Sure.
Movies have lied to me then.
Forever. Anyways, so she dies, can't come back, but lightning somehow restarts her.
Frankenstein syndrome.
But what happens is...
That's the medical term.
There's this idea that it like compresses the genetics in her cells and stops her aging process, the lightning strike, because her cells were already like contracted and frozen, and then she's just restarted. Anyways, it is so flimsy. It is so...
Yeah, no, that sounds...
I can't believe we just talked about that movie for like 6 minutes, but...
I mean, I could say a few things. You know who else is in it, though? Is the guy who plays...
the guy from Game of Thrones,
Game of
right?
Thrones,
Yeah.
who... I don't...
Which, that's so non-specific.
He plays... hold on a second. Give me...
he's the guy who's the other guy who's with Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah, he's
not Marmont, the other guy.
He's the... No, Mormont's no longer... Remember, he got...
Well, no, I'm not. Yes, but I mean, there were two guys.
Sure, no.
You know
okay.
the other guy.
I'm trying to think of his name. It's he's the champion of the...
Do you watch Orphan Black?
Yeah.
He's on there too.
Okay, yeah, no, I know exactly who you're talking
What's that
about.
guy's name, though?
Barristan the Bold?
No, not Barristan the Bold.
Oh, for the love of God, we still aren't talking about Avengers.
Stop! He's member of the Second Sons, I think, is what the.
Oh,
yeah. What's that guy's name though? He's a big part of the books. If you read the books, we're sorry. If it comes to me throughout the podcast, I'm just going to shout it
or
out.
tweet at you. Somebody can tell you who it is. My God, please tell me people have skipped past all this stuff.
I hope so.
We still listening to the podcast.
They're like, you got a half hour, and they're still not talking about the Avengers. For my God, what?
Please don't say we're actually a half hour.
No, we're like 7 minutes.
Time
in,
okay,
but
no, yes,
that would
Age
be
of Ultron.
Yes, Avengers: Age of Ultron was another movie that came out this weekend. So Avengers: Age of Ultron, the latest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's writer-director Joss Whedon returning to the Avengers after the phenomenal success of the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And I would say there was a fair amount of hype leading up to this film.
There was I believe, last episode I called it a hype train at maximum velocity.
So the hype train has now reached the station.
Yes.
We've seen the movie.
Yeah.
I should have said it I didn't know we were going to spoil Age of Adeline, but this whole episode will be filled with spoilers about Age of Ultron as well.
Yes.
Adeline and Ultron, what a pair they make.
There's a crossover event for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She doesn't age. She could be a superhero.
Yeah. There you go. Did Samuel Jackson show up at the end of Age of Adeline?
He wasn't. Excuse me. Yeah.
I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. So yes, we've all viewed the film now. I've seen it twice.
I wanted to see it twice. Could not get out to the second showing.
You just weren't trying hard enough, man.
God damn my family and their obligations towards loving me.
They could have loved Ultron as well.
It's true. They could have. And
There's
I blame
enough
them
love
for
in
that.
their heart for Ultron as well.
Open your heart to Ultron, folks. That's what we're saying.
That's really the thing. There's the other T-shirt.
And the podcast.
Open your heart to Ultron. The shirt is just Ultron ripping out somebody's heart through their chest cavity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, for sure.
Ultron going all Temple of Doom on someone.
All right, so let's. How do we want to?
Do you want to do with a rating first? Do you want to do that at the end?
We'll do that at the end. I
Okay.
think. I think something I thought we would maybe start by taking a look at each of the characters here. Where do we find each of our Avengers?
Because some of these people we haven't seen
in their avenging
in movies.
I mean,
for a
so
while.
right off the bat, we should say this movie starts, to use a film school term, in media res.
In the middle of the action.
Exactly. In almost a James Bond-like way.
Oh, yeah.
We're right. I mean, this movie kicks off right in the middle of a mission,
We
right
are
in the middle of
taking
battle.
down Hydra.
Yep, exactly. So
Can someone please take care of that bunker? And then Hulk just boom right through it.
That does happen.
Oh, so good.
So let's talk about Dr. Bruce Banner, who we have not seen since
the Avengers.
Since the Avengers, if you don't count that little tag in Iron Man 3.
This is true. We didn't see Hulk. We saw Bruce Banner.
We did see Bruce Banner, but that's
He's
what I'm
not
saying.
that kind of doctor.
I'm saying. So we find where do we find Dr. Bruce Banner in this movie? Slash his alter ego, the Hulk.
I really enjoyed how, at least at the beginning of this movie, we'd kind of seen this like kind of partial acceptance of the Hulk as like a part of himself, and he's moving forward with the whole like the Hulk can be useful, the Hulk can be directed.
Right.
He isn't always a force of destruction.
Well, he is, but that destruction can cause good.
Yeah, you aim him like a cannon,
right? Like at that bunker that you were talking about. Yeah.
There's a big point of this in actually Mark Waid's Indestructible Hulk run.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking
been
about.
plowing
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
It's just like you can aim the Hulk so long as you get out of the way, he will destroy.
Yeah, it's treating
what
the Hulk.
you want.
Yeah, it's treating the Hulk like a bomb, basically.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, point me at the bad guys, and I'll wreck them.
He'll smash them.
Yes, smash them.
Hulk smash, John. Hulk smash.
So this Hulk played by a consistent actor this time in returning.
We've not had that happen before.
That's true. Actually,
this is the first time somebody's back
played,
to back.
Yeah, this is the first time somebody's played Hulk.
Not since
again.
Bill Bixby have we had a returning Hulk.
And this is, of course, played by Mark Ruffalo,
who I love. He's great.
Yeah, I think we're all big fans of Ruffalo.
He plays that like aloof everyman. And everything he does. I mean, Bridget made the comment after the movie that this is the same character he plays in 13 Going on 30, which I think is the prequel.
There is an energy, there's a persona that Ruffalo brings to the table. I think.
But good on all of the people who were casting this, putting the two and two together. Like, he could be our Bruce Banner, because I don't care if he's typecast or if he's the same person in everything. This makes perfect sense.
And I think he generates a lot of sympathy or empathy, whichever one you want, from the audience. I mean, there's something about. I mean, just because there's a lot of the movie where he's not talking. I mean, especially in the scenes after he's turned back to Banner, where you see
there's that sense of like coming down, like he's trying to go cold turkey off of something, and that something is the Hulk.
There's a great shot where he's on the Quinjet and he's like wrapped himself in the blanket and he's like sweating, and he just because he just turned into the Hulk, and it was crazy.
Or that bit at the beginning where he's listening to the music and it's just like he's trying to tune everything else out,
opera music,
just so he can like quell the rage, quell the beast.
Yeah, but like you said, he's kind of made peace with it a bit.
Well, it's like they've come up with this whole system of dealing with the Hulk. You have the lullaby stuff with Black Widow. You have, it's like, is it a code green kind of a thing? So what's really fascinating about this movie is it implies a whole series of adventures that the Avengers have gone on in between the two movies that we are not a part of.
Right.
And I love that.
Yeah, that's great. I love inferred history in movies is fantastic, because the idea that they keep living their lives even when we're not seeing movies about them.
I agree. I like that. The only thing that I didn't care for that they left us out on, and they could have solved it in a few very brief scenes, I feel like, was the quasi-romance between Hulk and Black Widow.
I don't think they left us out on that. I mean, a lot of that comes from the last Avengers movie.
I think a lot of that comes to fruition, though, in this movie. It's implied that it's been going on for a little while.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like I want to see the build up to this. I feel like it's so minimal in the first Avengers.
I mean, I think what you see in that first movie is there's a connection between these two.
Sure.
And I think that my guess
there's a connection between her and Hawkeye too.
Well, they have almost like a sibling-like connection.
Sure, but I'm saying that the connection to her and Hulk in the first movie is not much more.
Well, no, this is what I'm saying. I think that there's some kind of chemistry there. There's some kind of spark, and my guess is that's what led Whedon to write this. Is from looking at those two actors together in that movie. There's something there. Let's expand upon that. And in this movie, they're not like, we don't start with them in a relationship by any means, but there is this attraction between them.
But I feel like it's further along than I want it to be. I want to be brought in just slightly ahead.
I feel like there's been flirting and stuff, because the scene with them where they're in Avengers Tower and they're having that party and they have that scene at the bar with each other is.
But again, this relationship never really comes to fruition per se. It seems like kind of a two ships passing in the night sort of a thing. It's like they maybe missed the window. They say it a couple of times. It's like, if given the right circumstances, they could have probably been a couple. And this movie is showing us them kind of like dealing with that. But then at the end of the movie, they're not together.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I mean, I would say it comes to fruition in a key scene.
Oh, yeah.
Of which we can talk about a little bit
I
later.
adore you, shove.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think that's the culmination of this, this relationship. So that's sort of where we find Bruce Banner / the Hulk at the beginning of this movie. We've talked a little bit about Black Widow. We know quite a bit where Black Widow's coming from, though, because of Winter Soldier. She was such a huge part of that movie. And
but we get a big expansion on her backstory.
Absolutely, a huge
Which we saw a little bit of kind of an inside view of that in Agent Carter in terms of where these Russian super spy women are coming from.
The Black Widow training school, yeah. But this movie...
The Red Room.
This movie makes it far more emotional and horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh, it's horrifying.
I mean, I read... there's some review I read that described all of the, like, hallucinatory dream things as almost like Nightmare on Elm Street style. There's a real horror movie vibe to these sort of.
Her and Caps are both a little, because there are certain like flashes inside Caps' little ballroom scene where there's like someone bleeding and dying on the floor.
Yeah,
and
I mean even
like,
the Thor one is.
Well, Thor gets a party. Thor walks into
Thor. The
but
Thor bits
Heimdall
are
with
actually,
the white eyes and stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I have some issues with the Thor.
Oh well,
sequences.
let's get to when we get to Thor, we can talk about your issues with that.
But the Black Widow stuff I thought was a really great expansion on that character, and the fact that that's the reason she can connect with someone like Bruce Banner, because it's like she feels like she has a monster inside of herself as well, or that she is a monster.
Yeah, I mean, it's I love a lot of their scenes together because it's this whole thing about literal versus figurative monsters, and how that weighs out and stuff. And I mean, they make a lot. I mean, that I'm sure people would say, well, they're not together in the comics or whatever, but they make sense to me in a lot of ways. Like I see with the monster stuff why they would be attracted to each other.
And clearly Joss Whedon did as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think a lot of that does come from Ruffalo and Johansson. I mean, that they.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is something between them, and they have a chemistry.
What do you think of her new costume?
I think I really like it.
With the blue.
It was very. I got some Tron vibes off of it that I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
A little Tron, but also felt like, if they're taking her to like spider level, I felt like that was kind of like markings on deadly spiders. You've seen that kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
It's cool. I thought.
Well, I just like that it adds the colorful vibe that because the other characters are, in their different colored costumes.
Sure.
So that gives her a little bit more personality than just the black suit. There's something that kind of in the same way that giving Hawkeye his purple coat and stuff.
God, that coat's so cool.
It's really cool. I mean, yeah,
he's just cool.
Yeah, that like giving characters their signature colors, sort of the thing. So she's got the black with then the neon blue is really awesome. A
little bit of the red.
Yeah, but then also the way that that translates into her weapons, because she's got the electrified. I mean, she's always had the gauntlets, but in this movie she's also got some kind of batons that are. Electric sticks of some sort that she's
I really like those
with.
Like stun Billy Club kind of things, jamming them through robot faces.
Exactly, yeah. So that's cool. So that's that's where Black Widow is. Captain America we saw. I feel like Captain America and Iron Man are very much at the center of this movie, as they were in that last movie as well.
Yeah.
I mean, which makes sense.
I mean, Iron Man is the catalyst of this whole fiasco that is Ultron.
But I guess what I was going to say is, coming out of their movies, I feel like I have the best understanding of their mental states coming into this movie.
I would like to rephrase that statement. He is not the catalyst. Black Widow is the catalyst. Just to correct usually the term catalyst.
That's fine.
Scarlet Witch, not Black Widow. I always do that. Why the fuck am I doing that?
Because Scarlett Johansson plays Black Widow.
Yeah,
I was reading an interview. They had confusions on set of this movie with Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson.
That explains a couple scenes where you're like, why is she shooting red things out of her hand?
Yeah, apparently even the visual effects department had a problem.
They just let it fly.
Whatever. No one's paying attention. But I think based on Iron Man 3 and Captain America Winter Soldier, I think did a great job of like really getting into the mindset of those characters.
Oh, yeah.
And so coming into this movie,
they're super fleshed out already.
Right, exactly. And like where they are post the first Avengers. That's why I'm sort of like, I don't know how much we need to really go into where we find them. I mean,
No, because we have a really good idea. That's kind of why I'm more disappointed that we don't have a Hulk movie either that already happened or is on the near horizon. Like, I want that so badly.
I mean, that was we know that Joss Whedon requested that they not use Hulk or Hawkeye in any movies.
Sure.
In between, and I think that's interesting because he had very specific plans.
And that's
for what he
fine,
was gonna
but
do
in
with
the
them.
near future, I want a Hulk movie so badly now.
There's nothing
I
on
know,
the
I
horizon.
know.
I mean,
I
I
think
don't.
they're afraid from the,
I will-
flops of the.
Possibly.
Incredible Hulk wasn't a flop, was it?
It's the least successful.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's probably a flop to them.
Which is interesting because you feel like
Well, and
if
also
the
they
Hulk
wanted,
movie was released now, it would do crazy well.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that having that by the end of this movie, I don't expect to see him again until Infinity War.
That hurts.
You don't think he's going to show up in Civil War?
Nope.
Which, by the way, you talk about Cap and Iron Man. This movie, I feel like, is setting up
Yeah.
Civil War so well.
It's setting up so many things.
I mean,
the seeds. I mean, the seeds are sown or whatever. I mean, they're very
for Infinity War, for
sure. Yeah,
Civil War.
but definitely.
Lots
Like,
of wars.
I mean, but you even get some of that stuff started to begin in the first Avengers movie between Cap and Iron Man. Like that's why I really like that Civil War is not going to come out of nowhere.
Sure.
It's very clear what the differences between them are and their beliefs. They're ultimately on the same side of things, but there's something boiling underneath the surface.
I like Cap in this movie, how he's not at the... I mean, I miss him being a little bit more at the front like he was in the first Avengers movie. I mean, the first Avengers movie wasn't a Captain America movie, but it felt like you got more screen time with him because he's coming out of the ice. He's figuring out how to put this team together.
I feel like he may have the most screen time of anyone in this movie.
In this movie?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well.
I think so.
More than Iron Man? I feel like Iron Man is on screen.
The two of them, I mean, they definitely had the most screen time in the last one, and they definitely have the most screen time in this one.
Maybe I just wanted more.
Hawkeye's got a lot.
He does.
Hawkeye does have quite a bit.
But what I was saying is that
but I sort of feel like there's almost no scenes. I mean, there are not, maybe not almost no, but there are very few scenes that do not have Iron Man or Captain America in them.
Sure.
And that makes sense. I mean, they are
Yeah.
they're like the two titans of the.
They
thing.
feel like our main characters of this franchise so far. I feel like
I think that's
it
true.
helps that they've had the most movies.
I mean, then that makes sense because we're also leading into Civil War,
Yes.
where they're going to very much be. It's the two of them.
I just really
Plus
enjoy.
Baron Zemo?
Yes, Baron Zemo.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Does it? I don't know. Again, I don't know what Civil War is going to be. So
I mean, that's the thing. We are putting. I mean, it's such an iconic comic story. We don't really know. It's not going to be the comic.
just in
like
the same way
Winter
that this wasn't Age of Ultron or Winter Soldier wasn't exactly Winter Soldier.
Well, but I mean, Winter Soldier was far more Winter Soldier than this was Age of Ultron. This is in. They just took that name,
Right.
Going in and expecting an adaptation of Age of Ultron.
no, that would have been ridiculous.
I mean, like the main characters of Age of Ultron are like Wolverine and Sue Storm. So
Right.
that's gonna.
They were in that, weren't they? Were they in this movie?
no.
Yeah, they were. No, yeah.
Oh no, they were in Age of Adeline. Sorry.
Yeah, if you want to see Wolverine
forgot.
and Sue Storm, go check out Age
Please,
of Adeline in theaters now.
I like Cap in this movie, though. You know, there's all these adventures you don't see, and now they're coming back to this. Mm-hmm. He's very much the leader, and he's just like, even though he's not as super powered as some of them, he's like, okay, you go there and you do this and you do,
I mean, we talked
did
about
that.
in the last episode the idea of him as a field general. I mean, this movie. I mean, the first movie you sort of see him fill that role eventually. This movie, I mean, he is firmly the leader of the Avengers. I mean,
There's even that line at the beginning of this
gonna say.
movie. It's just like, no, he's the one in charge. I'm just the one who buys everything from Tony Stark.
yeah, I'm the one who buys everything, builds everything, and makes everyone look cool.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think So, I mean, there's a lot of Cap throwing out orders, leading people into battle in this movie.
No,
Well,
he definitely has.
And all his team ups with Thor in this movie are so good.
We should talk about Thor.
Well, he is somebody that, if you've listened to the last episode, he doesn't make my Dream Avengers list.
Thor,
doesn't.
but you agreed he was a quintessential.
Sure,
Avenger.
yes.
Yeah. All right.
But I think he might be edging his way in if he's not on after this movie. I mean, that portrayal
this might
was
be
so
my favorite
great.
Thor appearance in a movie.
Yeah.
Other than Thor or Thor 2?
No,
No, I think you're
like,
right, John.
I feel like Hemsworth has always been good, but he fit it like a glove. And I mean, like everything he says is killer. All of his lines are. He has maybe the most jokes of any of them. Like
He's up there, yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean,
Some of his takes when people are, like, lifting the hammer.
Yeah.
Just, like, with no lines. Some of his physical work is some of the best I've seen.
that's what I'm saying. I feel like he just
When
keeps
Vision
getting.
gets the hammer at the end, and he's just like, That's what you can't see it on the podcast, but I'm like shrugging with some kind of astonished face.
Yeah. Or I love. I mean, because one of the runners throughout the movie is people keep trying to lift
the
Thor's hammer, and there's a scene.
You're not worthy.
Yeah, but one of my favorite parts of that scene is when Cap tries to, and it moves just a little bit, and you see the grin go to a look of concern back to a like very relieved grin on Thor. I feel like Hemsworth's comic timing, and I mean he's always been really funny, but I really feel like man he was so comfortable in the part in this movie.
He looks good. He has a crucial part in his dream sequence, and
I mean, there is
trying to alleviate that.
Something I did want to talk about with Thor. Thor is, I mean, he's an Avenger, and he's part of this. He kind of has his own little movie in this movie, though.
And see, that was what I was getting at with the dream sequence stuff. Is that was kind of my problem. I still love this movie, but it felt like some of the Thor stuff was very removed.
But you think about it, if this was a 6 or 12 issue comic, there's going to be space for one character for an issue or two kind of go off and explore the things.
Sure, but this is a 2.5 hour movie.
And he wasn't gone that long.
No,
Yeah, but he's like, hey, Selvig, let's figure this out. Goes into a pool.
No. The spirit pool stuff, I think actually works better than the weird, like, hell vision, whatever he gets. Because I'm saying hell with one L. Because that was definitely serving as some kind of setup for Thor Ragnarok.
Sure, he's so concerned.
But
he
I mean,
has to go make sure his people are taken care of.
I think that is the motivation to go do the spirit pool stuff, which leads us to the back into the Infinity Stones.
There was
and
this
to the
cool
creation
scene
of
where the
Vision.
Infinity Stones are all kind of like hovering up on screen in his vision, and you see this weird cloud forming behind them, and it's like, oh, it looks like the gauntlet right behind it. Here.
But I mean, like the way you see the Tesseract turn into the stone,
Right.
and
they break and the stones.
Yeah.
You can like see through what they're shrouded in.
Right, the sphere from Guardians of the Galaxy opens up. I mean, all these
so
things
awesome.
And then you see the 4 stones that have been, and they're called stones. They're not called gems. I know them as gems.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. They like the word stones better than gems for
They
some
shouldn't
reason.
have the stones to call them
Because
gems.
Gem and the Holograms is coming out later, and they can't have any brand
surely that's
she's
the
the
reason.
fifth stone, isn't
No, it's
she?
truly that's the
Yeah,
reason.
truly, that's the reason.
I thought she's the fifth stone.
She's the rock
Gem.
stone.
Gem. Yeah, she's the rock. Yeah, she plays
Yeah.
rock music.
Yeah.
She's the rock. Where they have to break her open is going to be a brutal scene.
Gruesome, just truly gruesome.
Just gutted.
Thanos is not going to treat her well.
No. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it works. It never felt distracting to me. But he does go off on his own little movie
It's cool.
for a while there. But
And I like
it comes
Selvig.
back.
That was cool.
Yeah, seeing
I
Selvig
like
back
that he
was-
goes to Selvig before he goes to Jane. I like that we don't get any Jane. He's like, oh, she's off doing her thing, and then he's like,
I'm not sure I have any.
No.
I'm fairly indifferent towards Jane.
I am too. That's why I like.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Stellan Skarsgård is a much more interesting person and
You know
character.
what was
Put Jane in there or
a
not
bit
is my
interesting is
opinion.
this is the first movie with Tony Stark that we didn't get Pepper Potts.
Right?
Yeah, Bridget asked me after. She's like, "Did she die?"
No,
was she? Where? I was like, "No,
he mentions her a couple times.
Oh yeah,
But I mean, she's
so this
alluded
is the
to.
first movie where we've had Robert Downey Jr. and not Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, and I think she could have been in there, but at
Sure.
the same time,
somewhere I don't know.
yeah. But I mean,
I kind of expected the other AI voice at the end there to be hers. Like when he had the My Gal Friday reference, that was pretty good.
Yeah, his girlfriend.
I like that it. I like that he just switched from English to Irish accent on that.
Yeah.
though.
It's a natural
A
progression.
British male to an Irish female.
I'm on board.
Yeah,
I wonder though.
I really like.
There's
the voice of Friday.
there's apparently going to be 2 alternate endings released.
Yeah,
this film?
I can't get a consistent answer on whether or not there are actually alternate endings.
That's
to
what
this
There's
movie.
at least one that they've said the DVD will be an extended release, like an extended edition.
Oh no, that's been absolutely not. Is what I'm
No?
hearing on that. That was a misrepresentation from Amazon UK, and Disney has put out a thing saying we never said that. They didn't say they're not going to do it,
Sure.
but they said that was false information. That
I
is
just
not-
wonder if there were any.
So that's why, and the alternate endings are also up in the air as a result of that as
if
well.
there were any Pepper Pot scenes filmed though, and that they got cut.
Well,
I wonder if there's
something we do know is that there were Loki scenes filmed.
Yes,
that's
I
been
have heard
confirmed
that.
and were cut out.
Well, it makes sense if Thor's going to go off to.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I
as part of his weird dream sequence.
don't
or
know.
is-
I don't know.
I mean, it would make sense if he went off because he goes to hell, but he probably goes through other places.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Again,
the thing.
it's like the Thor stuff feels a little disconnected, so it could be anything.
I mean, what Whedon said was it felt like one character too many.
Yeah.
There was just like,
but there were already so many characters.
well, that's the thing. But he
Yeah.
said it felt like Loki was like breaking the back of the movie. So whatever he was doing, and that, I mean, I think it was
Well,
good.
at
not
best,
to
we'll get those as deleted scenes.
Sure, and I think it was. I mean, I think it was best for the movie, just in terms of like save Loki based on where Loki ended up in Dark World, to save that for when the next Thor
Ragnarok,
movie.
yeah.
Makes sense to me rather than to do anything with
Also,
him here.
Loki would have definitely subtracted from Ultron, who I don't think we need to talk about because he
yeah,
was such a great villain.
This
in
is
movie.
this
Well,
is
we
where I
have-
was going to take it.
We still have a few more Avengers to get through.
Yeah, actually,
We want
well,
to- we've got-
Just going through characters in the movie.
Okay,
we can come back.
That's fine.
yeah, actually, yeah. Let's just talk. I mean, well, let's actually touch a little on Hawkeye for a second. here.
I was going to say Hawkeye and Iron Man. And...
We talked about Iron Man a bit.
Okay.
I mean, Iron Man.
If you're done talking about Iron Man,
Well, I'm not done talking about him, but I'm
We're
just
never
saying,
going
like,
to be done talking
I
about
sort of just want to give
We're done.
this is sort of just give a primer on where they are. I mean, Iron Man's very much still spinning out of the events of Iron Man 3. Still dealing with the PTSD, which is not helped by Scarlet Witch.
No.
His interactions with Bruce Banner are so fascinating. in
Science
that movie.
bros.
Yes.
Yes, I feel like
right.
I feel like the people who have been craving that got a lot of that in this movie.
It's so good though.
It's great.
That second one when they're building the vision and Bruce Banner's just like, this is a time loop. I've been caught in a loop somehow. We're doing it again.
Yeah. That was great. No, I mean, that's another thing that I think spun out of looking at that first movie. Their chemistry was through the roof, and it makes sense. I mean, that they would be.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they are the science guys on the team. So yeah, but they're complete opposites in the same time. They're both these like science geniuses, but they couldn't be more different as people. So it's really fun to watch them interact. The cockiness of
The wanting to just
Stark.
plow forward of Tony Stark
with the like very cautious. Yeah.
Let's think about this, guys.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Bruce
yeah.
Banner.
And that shows you a side of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man that we haven't seen for a little bit of like, no, I'm this way because I'm persuasive, and whatever my way is, it's going to get accomplished. Like even when Thor and Captain America are telling him like, don't do this, and he's just like, nope, sorry, this is basically happening
There's
already.
one thing, John, you've seen this movie a second time,
Yes.
so maybe it was a bit clearer the second time around. But when they're making Vision,
Yes.
is Thor there to destroy what they're doing or help finish it?
I think he's there to help finish it.
I felt
Okay.
that way too.
Because I think in
I
his,
wasn't sure.
I think in his vision, he sees he has to put the mind gem
Onto
or
Vision.
stone onto Vision.
Right.
That's the only place
Okay.
that would be.
I mean, that was my initial thought, but thinking back of it, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, that seems to be the intention because he's not. Thor doesn't appear surprised by what happens
Right.
to me. That's
Okay.
the sense I get. I feel like he would be.
And then
like,
he has
"What?"
that nice conversation with Vision.
Oh, that scene is so good.
Oh,
Just like
yeah.
where Vision picks up the hammer.
Yeah, we will get to Vision.
Oh.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I think, and the other thing that's fun about, I was going to say, the other thing that's fun about the Banner Stark relationship is seeing Stark able to talk to somebody at his level.
Yeah.
Because Stark is used to being the smartest guy in the room, but here's another guy who can speak the language he does.
Yeah.
So to see them like become those science bros
If
and
we
nerd out
eventually
about science
see
with each other.
the two of them plus Hank Pym is something I really want
Yes.
to see.
Well, and they have the idea of Tony Stark saying like, "Hey, you're an expert in this field. I need you to complete
Bioorganics, I believe is that,
bioorganics.
Yeah.
Like, I need you to help finish this with me." And then there's the other great interaction is when Hulk and Iron Man have to fight. He's got to stop him. You know, that's a great interaction. You've seen these guys pal around forever, and then it's all of a sudden. Which, by the way, I was in a store last night. This movie came out moments ago. It
Yes,
feels like
just moments ago.
and there is we got in first, everybody. But there is a T-shirt, and on the T-shirt is Thor punching and the big Iron Man suit catching. It's like a exact shot from the movie.
Thor or Hulk punching?
Sorry, Hulk.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, but it's like an exact thing. I'm like, this is like borderline spoiler if you haven't, like if
to
you're
be
going.
fair, Hulk has fought the Hulkbuster armor in the comics plenty of times.
But I mean, this was the exact picture from the movie.
Sure.
And I was just like, that's so. And it says Age of Ultron on it. I'm like, that's
and to
so
be fair, a
fascinating.
second time, that whole scene was like online a week and a half ago.
Was it?
The whole fight scene between
There was
Hulkbuster and
I mean,
Iron
I
Man.
don't know about
As
the
a
whole
clip.
thing, but there was a clip.
just about. It was like
I don't-
2.5 minutes.
I don't know. I feel like it goes on longer than that. in the
I mean, that
movie,
was
though.
great.
Sure.
That was a great scene.
Oh yeah. And we'll get into some prime scenes. I want to get through the characters here. We have not touched on Hawkeye.
Okay.
who, if you've listened to the last episode, we all have like a lot of love
We're
for Hawkeye.
fanboys.
And this movie has cemented that love, I feel like.
Oh
yes,
yeah.
yes,
I mean,
yes,
I feel like I knew Jeremy Renner was the guy to play Hawkeye, and he did well with what he had in the last movie. He is fully Hawkeye in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Favorite part is when Quicksilver takes off and he's like, no one would ever know.
Yeah.
Nobody, when he like knocks the arrow and he's like, I don't know, last time I saw him, Ultron was on top. Well, I miss him too already. I mean, like, no one would ever. That was so good. Just him, like, that monologue coming out, just
the
him.
Hawkeye sense of humor is very prevalent in this movie, which is
My favorite scene in the movie, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when I see it the second, third time, this may shift. But as of right now, my favorite scene in the
I
movie
think this is my favorite scene as well.
is the scene where he has to give the pep talk to Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
Yes.
They're huddled down.
No. That's so. Especially because 5 minutes earlier, he's like, I don't trust these two. I don't get these two. Let's not have them here. And he's like, if you step out through that door, you're an Avenger. I was
Yep.
like, man, I rolled a
I'm
tear
a
right
guy
there.
with bow and
yeah.
arrows. We're in a flying city fighting robots. None of this makes sense.
Right, yeah.
It's like, I'll have your brother come back for you. You don't have to do this. But if you do, that's that.
Well, and I feel like this movie directly addresses the criticism of Hawkeye about, like, why does the team need this guy? This guy who's just got a bow
I mean,
and
his
arrow.
wife straight up asked big spoiler there.
Yeah.
Because I did not see that coming.
No, certainly
Laura?
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's straight out of the Ultimate line, Hawkeye.
No,
Yeah. Which is cool.
I totally.
Because I really like Ultimate Hawkeye. I talked about that.
Well,
a
we've
bit.
talked before that Hawkeye, in the comics, most writers write him as a guy who gets around.
He's a
been
woman. He's a womanizer.
He's kind of a
I mean,
womanizer, and so to
certainly
see,
in Fraction.
I mean, it's no surprise that Joss Whedon doesn't make him a womanizer.
But what I think that does is I was really surprised that they introduced a family for him, but it solidifies what I like about Hawkeye, which is he's the human Avenger.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and even more so now because he has a wife and kids.
Yeah.
This is a guy
Also-
who goes home. He's got a
Right.
nice house. And he's and I love this idea that he's like
He's got to go
working-
out into the yard and split wood.
Yeah, and he's always like remodeling parts of the house.
love
and,
that.
I mean, yeah, and he's measuring things and stuff. You're just like, oh, this guy has a life.
That's a
this is
great
just his job. Because somebody like Captain America, he doesn't go anywhere. I mean,
They address that in the movie. It's just like, this is all I have now is being this, like, the lead Avenger.
Right, yeah.
At the end of the movie, he's just like, this is the guy I am now.
oh yeah, he has the line about the guy who wanted the wife and kids went into the ice 70 years ago.
Somebody
and
else
somebody
came
else
out.
came out. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the thing where it's like, and even Tony Stark goes home and builds Iron Man armor. I mean, like
Right.
there's the idea that Hawkeye just like, I put the bow down and I'm here on the weekends, with my kids.
I really wanted a scene where it's just like, honey, what did I say about bringing the bow to the table? Like something like that.
There's a great thing with the darts, where Tony Stark is throwing darts, and then
At the dartboard, yeah. And
and then Hawkeye throws two right into the
From across
bullseye,
the
and,
room.
and he looks at him, he just shrugs like, I had to.
Yeah.
Which is sort of taking him into that Ultimate Hawkeye a little bit, where he's like
Everything's a
not an
weapon.
expert with bows. I mean, he's an expert with bows, but like anything he can hit the target with, which is pretty cool.
I felt too that I like the idea that the Avengers or Nick Fury offered him anything, and he's like, "I want a house off the books for my family." I mean,
Yeah.
that's a cool.
Yeah.
He's not going for, because again, certain Hawkeyes would be like, "Oh, I want this device, and I want this house, and I want this
give
car."
me a motorcycle that can fly.
Exactly, and this one he's like, "No, I want to be able to go hang out and be
Yeah,
love my kids and."
yeah. I mean, that's what he.
Own a tractor for some reason. Is that a farm? I was completely...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't know what they're
they
farming.
they refer to it as a farm.
Sure.
Well, and okay, this could be a little bit of pride coming.
I mean,
out
it
here.
looks like he's got a lot of land. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
Wherever he's farming
there's-
stuff is,
There's definitely space.
yeah.
Until a herd of zombies come through and split the whole team up. The one thing though is both Bridget and I keep referencing Bridget. She went and saw the movie with me.
And she liked it.
She really liked it.
Okay.
No, she really
And
enjoyed it. She said it wasn't as funny as the first one, which I think there's a few moments,
It is a darker film.
but not like it wasn't.
I wouldn't say it's like
It
super
wasn't-
dark, but it is darker.
Yeah,
than-
it wasn't Daredevil.
I don't... It's not... Here's the thing. A lot of people have come out online and been saying, oh, it's much of a darker film.
I don't think it's like
No,
really dark, but I think it's
what I'm
darker
getting at
than the
is
last one.
It's dealing with things that are more serious, I feel like. It's not like... It's dealing with the ramifications of these characters' actions. It's not, oh God, alien invasion, heroes get together, stop it.
Right.
Like, what they're dealing with is a more serious and more... how do I put this? Personal problem. Ultron is a result of their like trying to tinker with the world, and so it inherently is a more serious
I mean,
problem that I deal with.
I don't see why. I mean, I'm
But
not.
it's not. But
it's
what
not
I'm
a
getting at is
criticism.
it's not darker per se.
Oh, I think it is darker.
Tonally, it is a little bit darker.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
it's not Daredevil dark.
Oh,
I think we're jaded because we just saw Daredevil, which we all loved, and was like, that's
I agree
pretty
with you.
dark.
I don't think this is a dark movie, but it's darker than the first one.
Definitely.
In comparison to the first one, this one is definitely dark. Specifically for the reason you're talking about. Like, I mean, this is the threat of this movie is the fault of one of our main characters.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean that's huge. I mean that instantly darkens what we're dealing with here.
No, it's true.
Anyways, the
oh yeah, what were you saying? You and Bridget were seeing it. And...
Oh, we were both pretty concerned about Hawkeye. There, we thought that he was gonna die. I mean, you set him up with the family. You set him up like, hey, promise me you're gonna come home, and you know.
I mean, that's movie speak for you're gonna die usually.
No, I mean all of it, and so I couldn't tell. I couldn't.
Linda Cardellini will be so sad.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was because obviously. We've seen it. All the spoilers. He does not die.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody else.
Well, we'll get it. We'll get into what does happen.
What does
later.
happen? But I couldn't tell if that was Joss Whedon like tipping his hand to the audience. That because if you look at his past work, like Buffy and things like that, anybody can die at any time.
Absolutely.
Nobody's safe.
Yeah.
But this is a much larger audience of people going to it. I couldn't tell if it was like him and or the studio saying maybe we should give them a little bit of like. An eye into this just so that people aren't so taken aback. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's not what happens. So the entire movie, I was playing games in my head of like, is he going to make it? Is he not? Are they showing you this on purpose to fake you out? Or are they just letting the audience down easy? Like, what is going to go on? And until the very last incident, which we're going to talk about later, I couldn't tell. I hadn't made up my mind on what was going to happen. I thought that suspense there was great.
Yeah. I mean,
and I love the line about I've tried mind control once.
That was one of
that
the
was so good.
Yeah.
When he just spins around and nails her in the head with a shock arrow.
Yeah.
We know Hawkeye is like the coolest guy ever, but man, that was just so awesome.
When he shoots out the floor underneath Quicksilver and he's just like, what, didn't see that coming?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
No, he has so many cool moments where it's just like, he is as cool as I said he was. Because there are some people we know who have besmirched Hawkeye in the past, and
they're wrong.
They're listening, and they.
This is a call out to you. You know who you are.
But I mean, I will say that these people have changed their tune after this movie, which I commend them for, and I commend Joss Whedon for creating situations where Hawkeye can show how awesome he is.
Thank you, Joss Whedon, for proving our point.
Yes.
Is what
because I know that's
you were trying to say.
I know that, yeah, and I know that's why he makes movies.
He does it for us.
He does it for us,
No,
and
he does it for Hawkeye.
He does it for Hawkeye. I do feel like because I mean I think some people did talk about. I mean not the some people I was referring to either. Actual people talked about
as opposed to those fake people who we were
yes.
just talking about.
Yes,
Ooh, I have a few of those in my brain.
I mean there was talk about how Hawkeye was underused or used poorly in the last movie or something. And this movie, I think a lot of what he does in this movie, especially what we were talking about there, where I tried mind control and stuff, is a response to that.
Oh, it totally
about
is.
like, no, I know how awesome he is, and look at how he's used here. That's we sort of covered the Avengers. Let's now talk about our main antagonist, which is Ultron.
Well, we're missing 2 Avengers here, John.
Who are we? Well, we were talking about new characters.
Yeah.
Well, we're missing 3 then.
That's true.
4.
Yeah, actually 5, maybe even.
Okay, now I'm confused. What?
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But let's talk. Before we introduce some of the new
Ultron.
Yes, let's talk Ultron.
Oh, favorite killer robot. I don't know. That's actually a tough thing to say.
No, he's the best killer robot ever.
I don't know.
James Spader knocked it out of the park.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely killed it. Yeah.
He was the most charming evil robot I have ever seen.
I mean, I think he's of the Marvel movies because I once again don't. I mean, I talked about this on the Daredevil episode. I think it's a little unfair because of how much time they have to develop somebody like Kingpin. But I think of the movie villains, he's second only to Loki for me.
Sure.
Of Ultron in terms of my favorite villains in the Marvel movies.
I would put him over Kingpin. at this point.
I can't say that.
Kingpin, you see a progression more, but man, Ultron, there's so much going on.
He was a villain I consistently wanted to see, and a lot. I mean, because when he spoke, it was so the eloquence with. I mean, this was the genius of Cat. I mean, James Spader's one of my favorite actors and has been for years. I follow this guy everywhere he goes. I watch The Blacklist every week. I watched every episode of Boston Legal. You know, I've seen Stargate. You know, I mean,
Sure, yeah. Who hasn't, John?
But going all the way back to like Pretty in Pink and stuff when he was playing douchebags in teen movies and
Deep
stuff.
Deep cuts.
He has such a specific delivery, and like he was the perfect choice because there's a sense of menace, but he also conveys intelligence, and that you want to listen to him even though you're kind of scared of him, like you're drawn into him.
And he has some funny moments as well.
And but what I was going to say is all this just with his voice.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because he's also doing the motion capture. We can't see James Spader though.
No.
But
that performance bleeds through even through the CG.
That's what's amazing about it. Really, is he has such presence that even as an 8-foot robot,
killer robot, yeah,
it still felt like a Spader performance.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a piece. This is not a visual effect. This is an actor giving a performance.
Well, kind of a sidebar. We have Andy Serkis in this film, who's quite famous for his mocap work and bringing these characters
and consulted with Spader.
Exactly, and that's what I think was very telling. Was we have this guy who's predominantly the expert in bringing these kind of digital characters to life. In terms of Gollum and in terms of Caesar in Planet of the Apes.
Well, and who's the guy? I would say it's him and the guy who played Ape Sapien in the Hellboy movies.
Well, Doug Jones, that's more makeup, though.
Right.
But I mean, it's not. I know it's not motion capture, but that physicality. Sort of
it's
those people that bring.
Yeah.
Sure. Doug Jones just on a great episode of Flash, actually.
And Benedict Cumberbatch was also
he wasn't on Flash.
Motion capture.
Was he on Arrow?
He was on Arrow.
Oh,
he's going to be on Flash, though.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah, no, but I think I've always been amazed by people like Doug Jones, or I mean, these people who can come through makeup or CG, or we can talk later about a certain performance in this movie that comes through the makeup. Yeah. I mean, and the matching of that Whedon style of dialogue and like particularly monologues.
Oh yeah,
they just fit so well into Ultron's mouth. I mean,
I love the line about one of the most unique substances in the entire world, and you build a frisbee out of it. That's such an awesome line.
Yeah, I mean,
that he sees that's what the threat of Captain America's shield he sees as a frisbee.
It's like this far above everything.
Yeah, it's this element of comedy, but also this
realization. Energy blast from 3 different Avengers to bring down his final form.
Yeah,
but what you're talking, there is a lot of humor, which I was surprised by how much.
You make little people. What are they called? Children.
Yeah, it's that sort of stuff that you wouldn't think to write a robot character as like searching for words, but in that, and once again in that very exact and thought out Spader delivery of these things. Yes, children. I lost the word that like yeah. I mean, there's similarities, and Whedon loves these kind of villains. I mean, you see it in the way he wrote Loki, and in one of my favorite movie villains of all time, which is the Operative in Serenity.
Oh yeah.
These guys who are very aware of what they are and what they want,
right,
and can speak very well. They're all very well spoken characters. I mean, those are a lot of my favorite villains as well. People like Hans Gruber in Die Hard and stuff. I mean, but yeah, and then add to that,
Hans Gruber was a giant killer robot. He would be Ultron.
Exactly, and so that's even more terrifying because he's huge and a robot.
And has lots of robot minions.
And then you knock one down, and he transfers his consciousness to another body. There's that awesome part.
I feel like they maybe could have done a little bit more with that, because that's always been one of the primary threats of Ultron in the comics.
I think you see it quite a bit in the final battle.
Yes, definitely.
You don't really see it.
They are always fighting Ultron regardless of which minions they're taking out.
And there's that great scene where he's talking to Black Widow, and he tears apart his own, and then is there again.
Right.
There's a bigger, badder Ultron behind him.
Yeah. This whole thing about like
Ultron 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he has this whole thing about evolution. Like you want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change, is one of his lines. Yeah.
Forcing humanity to become something better, even if it's through extinction.
Exactly, yeah. That's that robot part of him where it's very logical.
It's a very Ra's al Ghul approach too.
Well, yeah, but it's this idea of like he is totally justified to himself.
Oh, yeah.
I've added it all up, and this
From
is the way
a
it
cold,
works.
horrible sort of logic, it makes perfect sense.
Right, exactly.
And those are the best sorts of villains where it's like, you can totally kind of get their logic, even if it's awful.
Which I heard a quote from Whedon when he was talking about writing this movie, and he said when he's writing a villain, he knows it's working if at some point he's like, this guy's got a point. Maybe he should kill the Avengers. Even just at some point in the movie, while writing it, he should think like, okay, I see where he's coming from.
And there's definitely a point in this movie where Ultron's kind of like, you guys, in your wanting to like keep the status quo going, are causing more damage than you realize.
Right. And there's a big reason why
Invaders begets Avengers.
As we now turn to two other new characters, there's a big reason why Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch side with him initially.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, he seems like a guy who is bringing about positive change.
At least at first.
Yeah, until you realize he's going to, like, destroy the world.
Well, and they're also, I mean, they have a personal beef with Tony Stark.
Yeah, and I mean, and
Which
Tony,
is that, I've never heard that background before.
No, I mean,
and that was terrifying.
Tony Stark, and then sort of through Tony Stark, they have a problem with S.H.I.E.L.D. and kind of everything the, like, American military machine represents.
You have to
Military
imagine there's some
Stark-
brainwashing
Stark to them is the face of that, the name of that.
And that's definitely been a thing we've seen through all of the Iron Man movies as well, is Tony Stark, what he used to represent was the face of the military-industrial complex.
Absolutely. And I mean, and him having to deal with the guilt of that. I mean,
Again, it comes back to this movie having so much to do with the aftermaths of what these characters were, whether it be in just the last movie or the backstories of these characters going back years.
exactly. I mean, I think that's a reason why this movie is so successful. Is that this is the culmination of so many things.
It builds on so much.
Yeah, I mean but so let's talk
But it is also the dark middle chapter.
yes, at the same time. That's the crazy thing about this Marvel connected universe.
This is the empire of the series.
Absolutely, it is.
In every movie of Phase 2, somebody has lost a hand, just like an Empire. So all of Phase 2 is Empire.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's true.
That makes perfect sense. They set the standard. Right? Wow, that's awesome.
It's all about losing hands. No, so let's talk about Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, Wanda and Pietro Maximoff.
Interestingly enough, Scarlet Witch, I believe, is referred to as a witch, or maybe Scarlet Witch at one or 2 points.
Yes.
Quicksilver
It's
never referred
called
to Quicksilver.
Yep.
True. That's true.
But I believe that is to avoid confusion with the Fox movie, because they also have a Quicksilver.
Sure.
Is he referred to as Quicksilver in that?
No,
No,
but
I don't think so.
But he was advertised in like promotional things as Quicksilver,
And
the IMDb page.
so is this character as well.
I know, but if people had, say they went home after watching Days of Future Past,
Your average moviegoer.
and looked up, oh, that guy plays Quicksilver. That's his name in the comics. And then they saw this, and in the middle of the movie, before they can go home and clarify through the internet, oh, they're both Quicksilver because of different rights. I guess there could have been confusion.
Okay.
Also, it didn't feel like there was a place for it.
Fun.
Yeah.
We didn't have
Fun trivia. What movie were both Quicksilvers in?
Oh, were those two actors? Kick-Ass.
There you go.
Yeah.
where's the Days of Future Past?
He's his friend.
Yeah.
He has two friends. One is Clark Duke and one is Evan Peters.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that Quicksilver was Kick-Ass though.
Yes, exactly.
He was quite a bit more grown up at this point.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We've seen him evolve through fighting Godzilla into the man he is today.
Ages people.
Fighting giant radioactive lizards, it has an effect on a person.
It is interesting that he was, because like Kick-Ass in the comics is this lowly nerd, and then there's this guy who is huge.
Yeah.
That guy is jacked. Like, and by the time you get into Kick-Ass 2, you certainly see that, and then into this. I think he brings I liked him as Quicksilver in this.
Oh yeah, he was.
He brought there's a certain kind of like Evan Peters had, though not as much.
He was more like the spunky kind of like rebellious teen Quicksilver. This was definitely the more jaded Quicksilver that we see in modern day Marvel, which is just like he doesn't really care about the greater good. He's kind of out for what's best for himself. If he happens to be a hero while he's doing it, that's great. But he's looking out for himself and his sister most of all.
Absolutely, but I was going to say he's still got a bit of that wink, that kind of winking attitude.
Didn't see that coming, old man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's having fun with his superpowers. exactly. He's given it to Hawkeye. There's the great part where he goes into the police station and says, "Get everybody out of here," and they're like, and then he comes back in with a machine gun.
Get everybody out of here.
Yeah. Which is there's a real sense of fun, and that connection. I mean, a big thing that's different, obviously, is the presence of his sister.
Oh yeah,
between the two Quicksilvers. I don't want to spend too much time comparing them, but that's huge. Obviously,
Scarlet Witch has always been such an impactful force on the character of Quicksilver, and that is definitely true through this movie, almost to the detriment of the Quicksilver character, I feel like. There's maybe less time spent on Quicksilver because we see how important his sister is to him, and we do get a lot more time with Scarlet Witch herself.
Sure. I mean, throughout most of the movie, they are a duo. It's the twins. They're the Maximovs. Or, I love the line about them from Maria Hill to Cap, where she's explaining, she's got telekinesis, blah blah, and he's got this kind of manipulation stuff, and then he just looks at her, and it's like
he's fast, she's weird.
Yeah, and Cap is like, oh, got it. That made sense to him. Okay, sure, but no, they do. I mean, I did want to talk about Scarlet Witch's powers because I think we talked a bit about this on the Avengers episode last week, if I'm not mistaken, which was her powers are
huge.
Well, they're huge, but they're also there's a wide spectrum of them. They're not very. It's not that they're not consistent. They're a little vague.
That's keeping with the comics.
That's what I'm saying. In the comics, and then we'll translate that into the movie.
In the movie, I feel like they are trying to explain it the best they can, but even then, in the movie, she's doing some stuff that's like, okay, she's got some telekinesis and some weird mind-altering powers, but then there's some other stuff that's just like when she goes crazy and kills a bunch of guys all at once.
But that's still part of the telekinesis, isn't it? I mean, I saw that as like an explosion of it. I mean,
What I really liked about her in this movie is how she was constantly trying to see what people are thinking, right? Like, she can't see Ultron. She can see what everybody else is thinking. She's like, oh, yeah, Tony Stark's like this, or he's like this. And then when we get Vision, who has a bit of Ultron in him, and she can see what Ultron's thinking through him, and then that's a big turning point of like, oh, we didn't sign up for this. Like, this is not what we wanted, she's like, you lied. Like, this is what.
In some ways, I'm prepared for how crazy this statement is, or at least how big the statement is, and I'll explain myself. In some ways, is Ultron the replacement for Magneto?
In terms of the twins?
In terms, I mean, he's not their father, but I'm saying in terms of the charismatic leader who led them astray and down a dark path.
Yes, totally.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. He's the Magneto that we see. We don't know.
He's the Magneto we deserve.
Well, I was going to say
that's Michael Fassbender.
Is Brandon von Strucker? We have. I mean,
we don't really know what von Strucker did to them,
and that's what I'm saying is, could he have been in the formative? I mean, what does that relationship look like, and how long did he have with them, and all these things?
I mean, because von Strucker gave them their powers. We know that
somehow,
In this,
I mean, it involved Loki's staff, so it involved the mind gem or stone.
If you've been keeping up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., here's some big spoilers there, but we're also led to believe that they've got something to do with the Inhumans stuff.
The Maximovs?
Yes, we don't know.
I see no Inhuman.
I don't know about their Inhumans, because then we've got Inhumans who don't make it out of their Loki staff testing for, they're the only two that have survived.
I mean, we don't know why they're the only people who survived the Hydra testing.
Right.
Because they're mutants? I mean, they're not mutants.
Certainly, yeah.
They don't
mutates. Those are completely different things. High evolutionary.
Could you imagine? There'd be lawsuits across the board if they used the term mutates. Even, I mean, they keep it pretty vague, and I think that's the way to go. If you actually can't say mutants, keep it vague.
Yeah. Well, they use the term enhanced, and that's something that's definitely bled over from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well.
Absolutely.
They've been using it for a chunk of the series right now, and so when they were using it in Age of Ultron, I was like, yeah, because that's the terminology they've been using.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, Cap says we've got enhanced in the field.
Right.
And I just took it as, but now that you say that, I'm like, that's because I've been hearing it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is why I didn't bat an eye at that. For sure, yeah. And I think, I like that they kept it vague.
Yeah.
And I think that was a good call.
Oh, yeah.
And you're right. Von Strucker is such a non-entity in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, he's never been, even among the Hydra hierarchy, he's never been my favorite guy.
No.
I mean, you go Red Skull, Baron Zemo.
Yep.
Zola. Yeah, even like Madam, what's her name?
Oh yeah, yeah, I know who you're talking
Viper?
about. No, Viper is their own character, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of her name either, though. Somebody will say it.
Yeah, but Strucker's always been kind of like, and he's got that weird like energy absorbing gauntlet sometimes, and like there's some like Strucker's.
I mean, I wasn't like, why isn't there more Von Strucker in this movie? But it was
I
like,
liked his weird techno monocle.
yeah, that was awesome. That was really cool, and I love. He's great. The guy who plays him is an actor named Thomas Kretschmann, who's been in a bunch of stuff, and he's a cool actor. But he's great in his opening.
Oh yeah,
opening scene.
I love that line too, and he's like, "Get out there and stop him!" And it's like, but they're the Avengers.
Yeah,
that line was so great.
That's
again, it leads to that implication that they've been doing stuff in between movies that we're not aware of, but has established them as the
Avengers. It's like, wait, hold on. That's out there. That's the Avengers. Everybody,
yeah.
remember those guys from before?
Well, I feel like in this movie they are the Avengers we know from the comic books.
Yeah,
they have. There's clout. The Avengers are here, and that's trouble. You know, yeah, that's super fun. And I love when he also says to the guys, like, "Go out there, fight, never surrender." And he turns to the guy, "I'm going to surrender."
Yes,
that's great. Yeah, or he has the thing when he's talking to Cap too, and he's like, "I guess you weren't fast enough to." And Cap just hits him with a shield and sends him into the wall.
Strucker's down.
Yeah, I got Strucker. Yeah, it's over. I mean, I think even
there's so many little moments in this movie that were just like, oh, that's so awesome. And just like Tony Stark, please be a secret door. Please be a secret door. Yes.
Yeah. Yay. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. I mean, Whedon has. And all the Marvel, outside of Whedon stuff, all the Marvel movies have had these fun little character moments, and I think that's one of the reasons they've been so successful. Is those characters are so clearly defined. You know, you really. I know what a Thor line sounds like. I know what a Tony Stark line sounds like. I know how Captain America talks. There's the great running joke of the movie, which is Cap having a problem with foul language.
Oh, I love that. And maybe one of the funnier parts of the entire movie is when he swears at the end, and Nick Fury's like, "You kiss your mother with that mouth?" Like, just the turn on that was
that
just
was
like,
the punchline of the film. I mean, like, Whedon's been laying that all throughout because somebody else calls somebody a bastard, and Maria Hill's like, "Hey, Captain doesn't like that kind of talk."
Yeah, and the joke that they're teasing him about the entire time. It's fun. You see him as the leader, but he's also the one that everybody's kind of like, "Okay, come on,"
because he's the old-fashioned fuddy-duddy. I mean, that's the thing about it.
He's the old man of the group.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and one of my favorite things in the movie is when they're having the party, and there's a bunch of like 90-something World War II veterans, because those are Cap's pals,
right?
One of whom is Stan Lee.
That was I like that cameo.
That's
his longest cameo.
I said that's my favorite cameo now.
He has the most lines.
It's not meant for the mortal men. Neither were the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah, neither was Omaha Beach. Hand it over.
Yeah.
And then a very drunk Stan Lee going, "Excelsior." I love one of the reasons I think is my favorite cameo is he's really in a scene with the Avengers, which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, there's not just a cutaway like Thor's helping him away from the. Yeah, I told you.
Yeah.
But I just 94-year-old Stan Lee still.
Though second favorite is still Dark World. Can I have my shoe back?
Yeah, Dark World is great. I mean, he's had so many great ones.
No, it's true.
It's always fun to see Stan Lee in there somewhere.
I thought he'd be taller.
Is great. Yeah, being mistaken for Hugh Hefner and then that stuff is fun. Yeah,
there's that great. Do you guys see that? Slight sidebar, but that video recently of Kevin Smith directing him as the cameo acting school. Have you seen that one? Stanley puts on a class on like cameo acting, and you get people like
movies,
doing monologues and stuff. He's like, no, that's not cameo acting. That's regular acting. Now stand over there and mow that lawn. You know, right? Like, and it's Kevin Smith who's also in the video.
Right,
talking
right.
about they're good friends. But yeah, I thought that was very clever. And he's like, me, and everybody in the class is like, it's Stan Lee, the father of all cameo acting.
It's super fun. It's a really fun video. People should check that out. So we've talked a bit about the characters. Let's talk a little bit about
we still have two characters.
We have Vision.
Whoa. Can we finish with Vision? I feel like that's
sure. Yeah. Okay.
So
what else have we got here?
We've got
Your Vision blocking me.
War Machine.
War Machine.
War Machine.
Who's back?
War
as
Machine. Iron Patriot.
Who's back? Yeah, I was gonna say he's back as War Machine in this
Yes.
movie, though. He was Iron Patriot in Iron Man.
What's your
3.
password? War Machine Rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With an X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great bit at the party where he's telling the story and Thor
Really-
doesn't get it. And
Really
then
funny stuff. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I
Story
hold,
kills. Oh, well, it's a War Machine story.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
For that, it's good.
Yeah. Good save, Thor. Once again, Thor is the comic relief.
he's
in this
really
movie.
funny.
He's so funny in this movie. But yeah, his story is that he's like, so I pick up the tank because the suit can take the weight, and I drop it on the general's door. I'm like, boom! You looking for this?
Just Cap and Thor just deadpan.
And then not just a couple minutes later, you see him talking to people we don't know, and they think it's hilarious.
Right.
And Don Cheadle gives this great look of like, good, yeah, that worked. I knew it. I knew that would kill with the right crowd.
But he was there at the beginning, and you're like, okay, he pals around, he's hanging out,
And
he's
and
cool.
so is Falcon.
so is Falcon.
Who's
yeah.
the other fifth Avenger that I was mentioning?
Yeah, I was gonna say Falcon and.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry. So then War Machine goes away.
Yeah,
he doesn't go on mission with them, and then all of a sudden
at the end,
he showed up.
I was a little disappointed that Falcon wasn't there helping out.
too.
as
Me
well.
too.
Yeah.
I think it's an issue, and I think this might be an issue in the movies as we go along. Is like how many people can you legitimately put in a movie
Sure.
safely and with people they get enough.
It starts
screen-
becoming a budget thing.
exactly. I mean, you
well,
can't.
it becomes a scheduling thing. We don't.
Right.
Anthony Mackie is in other movies. You know, what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the comics, you can just draw anybody in there.
Absolutely.
Or you could literally have them in one panel or one splash page and be like, oh, yeah, Daredevil was totally at that fight.
Yeah, sure.
He wasn't the main story. But in a movie, that would just feel kind of out of
There's
place.
that spread page from Secret Invasion where it's everybody
It is
fighting the Skrulls.
legitimately everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, War Machine comes in.
I thought he was great.
Gets to be awesome, and to see him and Iron Man side by side saving people. Is it Sokovia? I believe is
Sokovia
Yeah,
is
Sokovia is the fictional country of this movie.
Right.
I think it's fictional. If it's real, I'm very
no,
sorry.
no.
No,
Well,
I'm
I like
pretty sure it's fake.
the whole him kind of being on the outskirts. You still don't feel like he's an Avenger in the sense of
right.
in the heat of the battle with the Ultron and the core and everything.
But he's having his own War Machine adventures that he talks about.
Yeah,
which
which
fun.
is really cool.
And you see that a little bit in
and
some of the
doesn't he
movies
say
where-
that? He's like, oh yeah, this is
in
going to be
Iron
a
Man
great
3,
story.
We definitely see like War Machine's off doing his own thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's I would watch a War Machine movie.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he's
I
fun.
wouldn't watch a whole movie, but I mean, at the very last, like one of the last scenes, you see them hint at, well, maybe he might be in,
Yeah,
I couldn't tell if that was like.
he's got a future in the Marvel universe.
I couldn't tell if that was Captain America being like, okay, you're potential people, let's train you up, let's figure it out, or if it was like,
I mean, we'll get into that, but I think I took it. That's
That's
your
the new
lineup.
Avengers lineup
Those are your,
for whatever the next
those are your
movie
new
is.
Avengers.
Yeah. So, like in Civil War, those are going to be who they refer to as the Avengers.
yeah, I kind of felt like that too.
So another character who's in this movie a fair amount that we haven't talked about is Maria Hill.
Oh, yeah.
She's there. I mean, she's with him. She seems to be. She's kind of. I mean, Nick Fury eventually, but she sort of takes the Nick Fury role for the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
Which I was a little sad there wasn't Coulson.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after seeing the show and his involvement as the director / non-director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen even just a brief cameo.
Yeah.
I love Clark Gregg so much. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
Can't speak.
he's great, and I mean, I think people would have loved it if Coulson was in the movie, but
it was
not to be.
If assuming you'd
Too
only
much
seen the
baggage?
movies, I think there's a little too much baggage. Because if you'd just seen the movies, because like honestly, how many people are watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
A lot.
But as opposed to the number of people who have just seen the Avengers movies.
I don't know. I mean, I think people are aware it exists, though. I mean, that's
Sure.
what you need to be, really. I mean, to see Coulson. I mean, you need to know Coulson's alive.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, let me say, he's going to show up in a movie someday.
I hope so.
I hope so.
I mean,
I hope there's other characters that show up. I mean, we've got Mockingbird.
yeah, sure.
She could show up. I was talking to Gorgoni the other day about a Mockingbird Hawkeye movie. How cool would that be?
That'd be really cool.
Sure.
It happens in the comics.
Yeah, but they're way more linked in the comics than they are.
There's also a whole romantic entanglement thing in the comics.
Yeah.
And I'm saying you
That
could,
they-
well,
that I
I guess him being married kind
that
of
I
steps on
think-
the toes. That
yeah, a little
that might
bit.
be a little weird, Marvel.
I was going to say, I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You
is...
say as though that's what they're considering that.
Hey, come on. I love the comics.
Knock it
Don't worry
off,
about
Marvel. Better put the kibosh on that because Donovan Eiler doesn't approve.
Yeah. Hey, we have morality standards
Shut
to
that
uphold here.
down. No, what I was going to say is I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of doing the Hawkeye Mockingbird thing with Agent Hunter on there.
Yeah.
In that they were married and
Sure.
had a, so I think
I still don't necessarily want a spin-off show with just those two.
we're getting it, so
Yeah.
it's too bad. It doesn't matter. They don't care what you think.
It's true.
No, but
They've
yeah,
told
I think,
us this before.
I think, Maria Hill sort of becomes even though she's not S.H.I.E.L.D., she does work for Stark, actually.
Yeah.
She sort of is our S.H.I.E.L.D. person,
She's our voice in the ear saying things are getting bad, boss. We need
Somebody's got to be on comm telling
Right.
them, go there, do that. And then
this
she
is
does
24
end up,
should be Chloe.
she does, yes, she does end up back on the helicopter. I'm fascinated by where is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. going now? Because
I have no idea.
did Nick Fury bring back S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end of this movie?
It seems like
Those
it.
were S.H.I.E.L.D. people on the helicarrier in S.H.I.E.L.D. uniforms.
Again, getting into some show spoiler territory.
Go for it. There's spoilers for the show and
Sure.
the movies and Age of Adeline.
At the end of the
Lots
last
of Age of
at
Adeline.
the end of the last episode, there's here's that toolbox though. Fury might want it back when he gets here.
Yeah.
It's just like Fury's. Everyone knows Fury's alive. The secret's out. I mean,
as this episode is coming out, the first post Age of Ultron episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on.
yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know.
That'll be tonight. I say from the past, speaking about the future.
Because you're listening to this as soon as it comes out.
Sure.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
assuming,
much for that.
Yeah, or if you're listening to it later in the week or another. Wasn't it great?
Insert response here.
In multiple years from now, if you're listening to this, whatever happened to that episode?
And you can listen to our. Eventually, you'll be able to hear about it in our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season wrap-up episode that'll come out in a few weeks. So yeah, no, it's really interesting though. I don't know where, and actually one of the most fun things, and I would not have picked up on this unless I had just watched this movie before seeing Age of Ultron. Did you recognize the guy on the computer who's monitoring the lifeboats?
No, but someone explained it to me online.
It's the guy who refuses to launch the helicarriers in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
When
Oh.
well, I'm going to call him Crossbones. Puts the gun to his head.
Right.
And he's like, sorry, can't do it. Captain's orders.
Yeah.
And then that guy is one of the main, and he's really funny in this movie.
Yeah, he had some good takes.
Yeah. Because he's got the.
Somehow that earned him some Nick Fury cred.
I stand by when I watch that movie. I'm like, that guy's the most heroic character in Winter Soldier.
Not Captain America, the guy who doesn't push the button.
Right, exactly.
Because he's the normal guy. Give him super soldier
yeah.
serum, and then it's fine. But
I
normally-
think my statement of that is because I'm like, oh, that's the guy I'd be. There's where I'd fit into the world of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Or the Danny Pooty character who's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
like, I give up.
I don't know,
what?
whatever.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
I know for sure I'm behind a computer at S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
is where I would be.
I'm writing copy for their newsletter.
So let's talk about some of the.
Well, now we have one more to talk about.
we did. Well, but let's. What I was going to say is let's talk about some of the plot points, and I think that's going to take us to this character right here.
Okay, that works.
Which is one of the key plot points. Is we build Ultron. It goes.
Ultron builds himself.
Yeah, but the initial spark of it starts from Stark and Banner because of things they've discovered that Von Strucker was working on.
Right. And here's a point of discussion I actually have had a couple of times is the AI that is Ultron. Is that a piece of Hydra technology, or is that inherently part of the Mind Stone that Tony Stark tried to copy?
No, the AI is. A lot of it comes from Stark, because you already have the program's obviously already there because when the Iron Legion speaks, it's Spader's voice.
Sure.
So I think quite a bit of it comes from. Because he's also got quite a bit of Stark's personality himself. He says things.
Right. And some of my favorite moments
Stark
are like
says.
when somebody mentions Stark, it's like, don't mention him. I hate that guy.
We'll talk about in a little bit. I think that in classic Ultron fashion simply evolves what's already been written by Stark.
Sure.
As the program that is Ultron.
So you don't necessarily think it's a Hydra influence is what necessarily makes him evil.
Well, and
I don't think Hydra knew what they had with the mind.
Yeah, I feel so too, and I feel like Tony Stark doesn't know enough, but is like, we're going to copy this over, and then it takes over, and he's like, oh shoot, because it talks about the Mind Stone thinking, right? Well, Bruce Banner's like, he's like, what does this look like? And he's like, it's thinking,
right? So you take that program. So I think what happens is like, Hydra had the Mind Stone, and Stark had the program, and they independently they're nothing, but when they come together, they're this. But Hydra didn't actually invent anything. They
Right.
just got their hands on something.
Because it seemed like everything that Hydra was doing with Loki Scepter was either making like kick-ass weaponry or but I don't know, because
It's that
somehow they're mutating people to get superpowers with it.
Sure, but that's not the same thing as artificial intelligence.
Sure, I don't know, but they were also working on robots there.
They were, but they hadn't. They had gotten nowhere with that.
Right.
I mean,
I
I think they had the idea that could be, but obviously it had not gone well. I mean, they have the tools for it, because then Ultron does make many copies
Right.
of
He
himself
uses
using
a weird like robot foundry that was already there, maybe.
Well, because that was what Hydra was working on.
Right.
That was remnants of Hydra stuff. So I think they were trying. They may have been trying to build robots independently of the Scepter, though. We don't necessarily know that they were using the
Yeah, I
Scepter
don't
to
know.
work on those robots. I don't know. Hydra's weird, and not, of course, not completely gone. I mean, the Cap does have a line that says like, "I think that's going to do it for Hydra." I'm like,
We already know they've cast someone as Baron Zemo, so I don't know
Cut
about
off
that.
one head, two more, replace it.
Yeah, come on, Cap, learn your lesson. It's been 75 years.
Yeah, you've been fighting these people forever.
And you will keep fighting these people forever.
Yep. If there's one message from the comics, no.
What a
So
depressing message.
yeah, it's really sad. And actually, speaking about building Ultron, I mean, one of the big deviations, of course, is in the comics, Hank Pym builds Ultron.
Right. And we won't get Hank Pym for another 4 months.
True.
That would have been that wouldn't have made any sense.
It would have made
in this
absolutely no
continuity.
sense. I think this was kind of what we always assumed they would do.
Yeah.
and
Especially after
and
Iron Man 3.
I didn't even think I didn't bat an eye at this at all. Like watching the movie, at no point watching this film was I like, well, yeah, but of course in the comics Hank Pym did.
Right.
I just didn't. It was just like it's.
But in
like,
the comics,
like
Hank Pym was also a founding Avenger. So.
Absolutely, but that's the thing where it feels like, I mean, in this, because like what you're saying, it so comes out of his character to do this. Like it makes complete sense that this Tony Stark would attempt to build Ultron.
Oh yeah, to try to protect the world in some way.
Because that's really become like his defining thing. Is he wants to stop being an Avenger. He wants to stop the need for the Avengers.
Sure.
I mean,
they have that line in the movie. Is just like that's the end goal is to go home and retire.
we fight to end the fight.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's it. We need to go home. I want a suit of armor around the world. Then that's the big thing that then comes back with Ultron. But what I was going to say is, so he creates Ultron, but the actual what ends up being sort of what he was attempting to go for with Ultron kind of was ends up being the Vision.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Vision is the good of that.
Yes. But it comes as a culmination of both what Ultron was working for and what already existed in Jarvis and this weird mystical stuff with the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
So we can assume that the Mind Stone stuff isn't inherently evil.
No.
It's just what Tony Stark wanted to do with it was easily corrupted.
Well, it's like it's almost like what the Doctor says in Captain America to a certain extent with the Super Soldier Serum, was that it enhances whatever is already there. I mean, we're not talking about the Super Soldier Serum. We're talking about the Mind Stone. But I mean, I sort of see
And
that,
all the
like,
Infinity Gems for that matter.
yeah. I mean, good becomes better. Bad becomes worse.
Also, great line about him, Captain America saying, "Yeah, who would want to be with somebody who was modified by a German scientist?"
Is an attempt to protect his country. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an awesome
Yeah.
Cap gets it. That's
Oh.
why we're always on Cap's side. Like
Yeah.
he has so much empathy for people. He's got everything.
Well, because Maria Hill says to him, well, that was different. We were at war. And he's like, they are. To them, they are at war.
yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I think that is a big reason why Cap resonates with people, is he does have such empathy. There is that thing about, like, I mean, going back to the first Captain America movie about, like, you want to kill Germans? I don't want to kill anybody. I just don't like bullies,
Yeah, and I think that's why.
Would you want to kill Nazis?
In Avengers, when he goes to Germany and Loki's got all the people bowing for him, he's like, last time I was in Germany, I saw a guy standing all over, standing above everybody, and we didn't get along too well.
Yeah, we had disagreements.
He does. Yeah, he doesn't like that idea. He's a very human character in that sense.
Totally.
So they create. The Vision ends up being created.
Yes.
Who, in my opinion, kind of walks away with the movie.
Oh,
I was going to say
He
this.
dominates the third act.
Oh, yeah. Thor is edging in on my list of Dream Avengers after this movie. This Vision is on my Avengers Dream list. The Paul Bettany Vision.
Vision was already on my Dream Avengers list. He's always been one of my favorite Avengers, and he fully realized in the coolest way possible.
I was going to say I like him better in this than I have in any comics I've read with him. I mean, he just kills it. It's like Ultron, where he's missing. There's that line with like he doesn't know what kids are called, and he doesn't get why humanity is doing what they're doing. That one piece drives him to do what he's doing. Where Vision sees, like I'm sure Vision sees that. To end all this, kill everybody, have them evolve. Leave a few, let them evolve. We fix the problem. But because the human race, he gets why you don't do that.
Well, he is Connor McLeod at the end of Highlander. He has perfect empathy for the human species.
Yes, he has that. One of the lines I love is like, "How do we know he's on our side? Are you on our side?" And he says, "I'm on the side of life."
Right.
Yeah. No, it's so good.
Because he said, first he says it's not as simple as that. Yeah, I mean, to him, he sees all and he has the same knowing stuff as that, but he has the empathy that Ultron lacks.
Right.
Love the bit with the hammer. We talked about that briefly, but that he is worthy. And then, of course, at the very end with Captain America and Iron Man, we're like, well, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
If you put the hammer in an elevator and it goes down or it goes up, it would
Doesn't mean the elevator's worthy.
Yeah, exactly. That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was a great bit.
So the Vision shows up, and he's got the memory or whatever. I mean, he's got Jarvis in him, and that's why Paul Bettany, who's been voicing Jarvis all these years, is now an Avenger.
That's so cool.
Do you think they had that planned out when they cast the voice of Jarvis?
No, not when they cast him, because I know where this. No, they just wanted a voice, and Paul Bettany has a great voice.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But I was just watching an interview with Joss Whedon where, when he went in to talk about the first Avengers, he said, if you ever make a second movie, you got to have Ultron. Everybody has heard that, right? And they were asking him why. He's like, it was reverse engineering, because I thought if Ultron's in it, then he can create Vision, and Paul Bettany can play Vision because he can turn Jarvis into. There was the whole thing was this reverse engineered thing from. So this was always Whedon's plan, but I don't think that was in no way the plan.
Sure.
When
That's
started
so
initially.
great.
But
they just
God,
wanted
it worked out so perfectly.
I think they just wanted a regal sounding actor.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Bettany is an amazing actor. I've always loved Paul Bettany. And one of the interesting things by doing this, was I talking to you about this, Gregoni? Maybe I was talking to somebody else. That was Vision is not in the movie very much, and he's a late in the game addition. Yet you feel like you know him because Jarvis has always been there.
And Jarvis was definitely there in the beginning of the movie. We feel his presence a bit more than we have in previous. Like, he was definitely all over Iron Man 3, especially. But
I mean, he's been. I mean, they have the joke with the sticker. Jarvis is my co-pilot, but it is that Jarvis is his.
I
co-pilot.
want that sticker. I totally would put that on my car.
Doesn't he say Jarvis take the wheel at one point too?
Yeah.
I mean, but this idea that Jarvis is always there with Tony Stark, we have such faith and goodwill towards that program that when he becomes Vision, we love him already before he even starts doing all the awesome things, and before he gets an awesome cape. Which is
I know. I love. And he like almost looks over at Thor.
Yeah, he does.
Sees the cape and then
generates,
is like, that's so awesome.
His cape, which is really cool.
I wish we'd seen a little bit more of his like phase shifting powers. We see him like phase through robots and tear them apart from the inside a little bit, but we don't see him like go through a wall or anything like that.
I mean,
there's plenty of time.
We'll get it.
There's plenty of time.
You've got like a half hour of Vision in this movie, and they make the most of it though.
Oh man, and he looks so good. He's easily the most ridiculous looking character we've had so far, barring like Rocket Raccoon and Groot.
Sure, yeah. But he's also not a CG character, which you would think
during like fight sequence, but then everyone is.
Yeah, I mean I mean when he's flying and stuff, but that is Paul Bettany in costume and makeup,
and it looks so good.
It does. His whatever they did to his skin, it looks like he's
slightly
synthetic.
Yeah.
It's great, but the smart decision not making that CG is his eyes.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say his eyes aren't like blank like they are in the comics.
So you have Paul Bettany's performance really coming through. I mean, it's clearly Paul Bettany.
Yeah,
and he's amazing and the tallest Avenger at 6'4".
Really?
Yeah.
Is he really?
He's taller than Hemsworth?
Yep, Hemsworth's only 6'3".
Dang. Hemsworth just looks gigantic.
He's a big human being. He is a large mass of human being.
Hide behind the Hemsworth.
No, he looks Chris Evans, who is also a large human being,
but who's only like 6 feet tall. I mean, you add another 3 inches and
width,
and more to the shoulders.
Man, he's huge, and then of course he's sleeveless.
Yeah,
certainly helps.
Yeah,
but yeah, Vision. I didn't quite think of that, but yeah, Vision definitely not only from an acting point of view, towers above the other performances in
there's
this movie.
that scene with him and Ultron at the very end that just is
that's the other one that's in the running for my favorite scene is that whole thing about like
the kind of Ultron coda, if you will.
Yeah, and the Ultron thing about like, but they're doomed. He's like, yes, they are, but nothing's beautiful that lasts forever.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Well,
so good.
I mean, yeah,
Beauty is fleeting.
I know it's amazing. The android is the soul of the team,
Right.
which is true to the comics as well to a certain
Yeah.
extent. He's this very like poetic kind of
And
character.
I like how they made a point of like he's the one who goes back and saves Scarlet Witch when things are collapsing.
Yeah, I mean, that's fun because take from it what you will.
Yeah, I know.
Because I mean, as they've shown,
I think it opens a door that could be fun to follow in the future.
It opens the door that they could go down that road. But I mean, what I love about them is they know these things exist, and they could go down that road or they could not. That's
Sure.
sort of the
Yeah,
way Marvel has functioned, and I really think that's great.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There's a line in there too where they ask something about he doesn't want to kill Ultron. Is that right?
He says, "I don't want to kill Ultron because he's unique, but he has to be killed because that's the only way. He must
Yeah.
be
He'll
destroyed."
kill everyone if we don't.
Right.
Yeah, that was a great line too. Of like you see like his. It's not like, oh, threat. I'm gonna end the threat. Like he weighs everything out.
Right.
It's
that
interesting. I feel like
empathy
Vision
thing.
might fill an Adam Warlock role.
I think we were talking about that after we saw the movie. Yeah.
Like Adam Warlock is this kind of space messiah type figure, and I think we're definitely getting a chunk of that in Vision right now.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think you and I were talking about whether or not Adam Warlock is going to show up in these, and at the moment, I just don't feel like he's needed.
Yeah, and if he showed up in Guardians 2, it would be a weird and sudden inclusion. But I mean, who knows? They could make it work.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I think so. But I think there's a lot of baggage that comes with him.
Sure.
Yeah. So something we did talk that we wanted to talk about was the Hulkbuster fight.
Oh, love that fight.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that was heavily promoted.
Yeah.
We knew that was coming. We didn't know the context.
Not necessarily, no.
And
I kind of figured it was like, okay, someone's going to mess with Hulk and like he's going to go berserk.
yeah. Which
Well, we
is what
talked about
happened.
this in the most previous episode about the first time in comics the Avengers come together to fight the Hulk.
Yeah.
Didn't happen in the first movie.
No, not really.
It doesn't happen in the first.
Well, I mean, there
movie.
is a fight between Thor and him, but
Yeah, but it doesn't have the same kind of clout that
It's
this
not
one did.
Everyone v Hulk.
Yeah,
well,
well,
neither is this.
No,
though.
it's true.
But you also get like this idea of him completely out of control. I mean, there's that scene where they drop. What is it? No, what's
Victoria?
Victoria, is that her name?
Veronica.
Veronica.
Yeah.
Well, you know why it's Veronica? It's an Archie.
Oh yes,
Because
it
he
is.
dated someone named Betty.
Yeah.
And this is
Oh, that's
Veronica.
right.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
right. I didn't even put that together until now. That's
Remember,
awesome.
guys, Archie's our stalwart.
Archie
so.
pervades
Archie-
all things.
Yeah.
But the idea that he gets encapsulated.
When's Archie going to be in one of these movies? For the love of God,
Soon.
Come
He's fighting Predator right now. If he makes it out alive, well,
on. He's going to be in an Avengers movie then.
that'd be
He
awesome.
earns his place
Yeah.
by defeating the Predator.
Our
like-
newest Avenger, Archie Andrews. He's already got a Marvel name, Archie Andrews.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, but though I mean,
That whole fight sequence is so cool.
It's really fun.
It's very good. It's a super fun scene, but it's also talking about. We talked a bit about Banner at the beginning, but like Banner's journey as a character in this movie. I mean, his arc. That's very key. That's a key turning
yeah.
point where as he says, the world sees the real Hulk, the monster. I mean, the when he's lying in the rubble after Hulkbuster, after Iron Man drops him through that building. And he's looking at all the people running from him and screaming, and the people raising their guns and stuff. I mean, the Hulk looks out and sees like, oh my God, I'm a monster.
This is a Hulk we haven't seen since the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah,
Of just like wanton destruction happening.
Mm-hmm. And you see that in his eyes. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
in Hulk form, he's able to process that moment of people are terrified of me.
This Hulk looks so much like Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
I
'cause
really
this
like
is,
that.
I believe this is the first time they've done a full mocap Hulk. Like
I didn't
this.
realize that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
There was a little bit of mocap in the first one, but it was mostly a CG character.
right.
Whereas this one, I feel like they did a lot more.
So I mean, this
motion
is
capture.
this is the. I mean, Andy Serkis also worked with Mark Ruffalo on doing the motion capture.
Yeah,
for this.
and whatever consulting he did, unless the technology has just gotten so much better, but if he was consulting on this the whole time, I feel like it shows.
Yeah, I really feel like both Hulk and Ultron are fully realized performances. You know, I mean, I can see those actors through the the technology and stuff. I mean, but what I was going to say, this culmination of this, the ending for the Hulk, is pretty heartbreaking. You know.
Oh, I mean, it's that classic like Hulk wandering off into the sunset. Yeah, if that music had started playing, it would have been totally appropriate.
Yeah.
Hulk just needs to be left alone.
Well, but does he is sort of the thing. He feels that way. I think it's what's important. But I mean, because he's talking to Black Widow's trying to talk him into coming back when he's on the Quinjet, but he shuts the thing off.
I mean, talk about fear of commitment.
Well, but I mean,
if there's one thing the Hulk, his greatest weakness is commitment.
Yeah,
but there's also the scene between them when they're in Hawkeye's house, and she's, I mean, outwardly saying like, we should be together, and he's like, what do you think?
Are you an insane person?
No,
or some sort of Dracula?
But I don't see personally. I think Banner's wrong about himself in that sense.
No, it's true.
Like he's being overly cautious. Like Black Widow's willing to sign up for this.
I mean, there's that scene in The Incredible Hulk where it's like they're about to start making out and have sex, and it's just like, no, gotta stop.
Right.
I physically can't do this, or else greenness will happen.
Well, would that happen? I mean, you're sort of our Hulk expert. I mean, is it just because his heart rate goes up? I mean, I saw that as he had a fear of that. He doesn't know what would happen.
Right, and like in the comic books, it's a combination of a bunch of things. It's a heart rate, it's adrenaline levels, it's stress levels.
Yeah.
There's so many things that can set off the Hulk.
Right.
In the movies, I feel like it's like a heart rate thing and a stress thing.
It definitely comes out of anger and or fear.
Right. Or a survival response.
Sure.
It's like if he gets thrown out of an airplane, he's going to Hulk out.
Yeah. Exactly. Or I mean, he talks about in the last Avengers that he tried to kill himself and he turned into the Hulk.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. The Hulk will protect him in that sense. I mean, that's the
Hulk is indestructible. The Hulk will survive. The Hulk will outlast everybody.
Sure, but I'm saying like,
one of my favorite Hulk comics is Hulk: The End.
Yeah.
All that is left is Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the Marvel Universe, there will only be Hulk.
Yeah, I mean that's a very sad view.
No, it is very much is, but it's a very
because I still have
story.
hope that the Banner can cure himself someday. I mean, not that that's going to happen in the never-ending Marvel Universe,
or at least he comes to terms.
But
and
spoiler alert: that's what happens in the TV show.
Yeah,
he does cure himself of the Hulk.
Wait, the
Bill Bixby show,
the Lou Ferrigno.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't made it to the end of that ever. So
spoiler alert for a show that ended 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dang it! I was just getting
more
caught
like 30, but yeah,
sure.
And
he was also in the.
There's 5 seasons and then 3 movies that wrap up the show.
Oh, okay.
So, Return of the Incredible Hulk, Trial of the Incredible Hulk, and Death of the Incredible Hulk. So check those out, folks. They're really awesome.
They're okay.
Nah, yeah, you and I do not see eye to eye on that. I have a great love for the Bixby Hulk
and
series.
I find it entertaining at best, but I don't find it as a necessarily great representation of Hulk.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But Lou Ferrigno still does do the voice of the Hulk.
Sure.
Which is awesome.
Hulk smash.
I don't think he says anything in this movie. I don't think he actually says a line.
I can't remember. There's that line where he's like, Iron Man's like, yeah, don't mention puny Banner. But does he say something or does he just growl?
He's just like, Rawr.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
It's not, if it is, it doesn't come out as words. It's just like, he reacts. He reacts, he grunts, he growls,
Yeah,
but
that's always been
Is that Lou Ferrigno still? Grunting, growling?
I think so, yeah.
That's cool.
That's always definitely been an interpretation of the Hulk. Like, the Hulk gets eloquent and less eloquent depending on who's writing it, as always.
Yeah, I've always liked him as he can speak, but very quick, just a few words.
Hulk smash, Hulk wants to be left alone, puny Banner.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, just
Hulk love Betty.
Yeah, things like that, where it's just like, because I mean, I've always looked at the Hulk, and we're going to do a Hulk episode at some point. We've talked about that, but to me, the Hulk has always been the like primal side of humanity, right?
Sure.
So he's just like raw emotion, right? Mm-hmm. So to get words through that takes a lot of effort, so it comes out as this. It's not that Hulk is dumb or something.
So in the same way that Mark Hamill talked about how like the Joker, he's just so full of that madness that's like his words are coming out in this kind of cackling manner, is the same way in which Hulk, like, he's forcing these words out past the rage, and that's why he's kind of like abrupt.
I think that's exactly right. So I think this movie, I said I don't think he says anything.
I don't remember him saying anything in this movie. No, you're correct.
I mean, he had the fan favorite puny god line in the last movie.
How
can you top that?
I think
Hulk smash.
We'll get that in the third.
Does he need to say that always, though?
Yes, at least once per movie.
I don't think that's good.
There'll be a fan edit where they
You're
just
going
put
to
Hulk
email
smashing somewhere.
Marvel all these rules about Hulk must say Hulk smash
At least once.
At least once per movie.
I want to hear. We haven't heard Mark Ruffalo say Hulk smash.
We have not heard Mark Ruffalo say it.
Yeah. So can I get it at least once?
I mean, you can. I don't hear a tons. I mean, I'm sure there are other people who are with you, but I'm not clamoring for it personally.
Hashtag Hulk smash.
So we've talked a bit about the Hulkbuster fight and a little bit about Hulk's journey. What are some other scenes or plot points that we want to? Oh, we didn't talk about the fact that an Avenger or a prospective Avenger perhaps dies in this movie.
Yeah, that was pretty. I don't know. It was shocking for me.
It was very
I
shocking.
did not expect him to be introduced in this movie and then subsequently get killed off.
At no point did I think that.
It was definitely there were several audible gasps in the theater when we saw it.
Yes.
And I was probably among them. It was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Shit just got real.
Right. I mean, I mean, generally, people don't get killed in these movies.
Yeah.
But
Not the good guys.
Right. And specifically, you would definitely not expect a character who's just being introduced into the universe.
Right.
I mean,
he needs to be a superhero in other movies still.
Right. Yeah. There's sort of that thing about like, well, no, wait, what about the what were you saying?
I was just gonna say we technically don't know if he's dead.
Oh,
We don't see
No,
him go
stop. Hey, wait, hold on. Nobody pronounces him dead. We don't see them put him in the ground. And in the same movie, we've seen a machine that can regenerate, like, tissues and... I'm just saying, don't write it out.
Is shaking his head in a no, sir, you are incorrect gesture.
He's now nodding yes. He's thinking, wow, this could be possible. He's eating a banana.
I'm not doing
John,
any of
don't
these
talk
things.
with food in your mouth, please.
No, I mean, I think it's good that there was the death of a character.
There were consequences in this movie.
Exactly. And Whedon's always been a big believer in
Yeah, he has.
no victory without consequences.
The bastard.
Right. I mean, he sort of made a career
Tara,
out of...
why?
Why, you go right to Tara?
That's your first one?
I think so. That was certainly the first exposure I had to that horribleness.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want, yeah. But I mean, I think most people might jump to spoiler alert,
Wash.
Yeah. Wash and Serenity. But I mean, yeah, there was sort of
Coulson.
that. Yeah, well,
Don't worry, he got better.
Coulson came back.
See?
But I think it's a danger.
What if
it's a
Quicksilver
dangerous
goes to
precedent.
Tahiti?
It's a dangerous precedent to set if we keep
is a
bringing back
magical place.
every character who dies.
It's true.
That's where I'm. And also, I like what it does for Scarlet Witch.
No, I'm not saying it was bad.
Yeah.
I personally think he is. I'm just saying if he were to come back, I would be like, okay, there's a part of me that could see that
I mean,
happening.
something you and I were talking about is the potential of some sort of return of him in a Scarlet Witch,
Again,
manipulation of reality. Or
If
something.
they go full tilt into what Scarlet Witch's powers are about, which is like manipulating reality in specific ways, then it's very possible for us to see a return of Quicksilver in some form or another. Whether or not it's...
That's the way I could see him
Sure,
returning in
yeah.
some capacity. And I mean, even if it's just in the image of him, being
Right.
conjured up by her. But I mean, the end of the movie definitely takes place later, and he's still dead.
Yes, he's
So-
not assembled with the rest of them.
Yeah.
It takes a while. Tahiti, is a fast-acting place, but it takes a while.
And
Sure,
something
you gotta
tells me
get through
they'd
all
be
those mimosas.
after these 2 seasons of Agents of Shield, they might be hesitant to use Project Tahiti again.
You think so?
It didn't work out great the last time.
When most of them went crazy and tried to kill everybody.
Doesn't he offer that to Ward?
Well, he offers to like wipe his mind in the same way that Tahiti did. It's not bring him back to life. With
right,
weird-
right.
Yeah.
He offered to wipe his mind. Yeah.
Which I think is what Project Tahiti was. Tahiti
Initially.
was all about like mind erasure and putting like false memories into people. The whole alien serum thing was just happened to also be what Coulson was experiencing.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that was like, oh, we can erase negative effects in the field or, whatever.
Right.
And then they're like, well, if we're going to manipulate his brain with, alien stuff, we should
Cool
probably
island
also...
breeze.
Yeah, exactly. Man,
Yeah,
that's...
they brought in Shepherd Book.
Well, I was going to say, it's a good backstory for Shepherd Book. You understand why he turned to the law?
Yeah.
That's the lost chapter in the Shepherd Tale.
That's in Shepherd's Tale, right?
I'm pretty
Somewhere
sure,
there?
yeah.
There's something in there about him working with
read
Shield.
You haven't read Shepherd's Tale?
I need to reread that. I missed that part.
Yeah,
I have definitely read Shepherd.
Yeah, good. No, so is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about specifically, like specific?
There's so many
sequences
things.
Or,
I can't
there's a bunch
remember.
of great. I mean, there's a bunch of great little stuff in this
During
movie.
the Hulk fight, when like Hulk, like after the whole like Rock'em Sock'em Robot to the head thing,
Yeah.
and then there's like this explosion, and they separate, and then Hulk looks up and he's pissed, and Tony Stark is just like, "I'm sorry."
Well, he spits out a tooth.
right.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'm sorry."
That was so great for me because it's like, oh, you don't know, angrier Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets.
Well, I think that's something they're still figuring out.
Yeah, I mean, do we see that though?
I don't think that's
specifically?
ever necessarily been said, but it's always been the thing. Like when Hulk is down and out, when
Sure,
he's
yeah,
starting
yeah,
to get pissed, he gets stronger.
Yeah,
It's something we see. It's not necessarily said.
I
Right.
do like when Hawkeye is fighting and he's constantly looking for Black Widow.
yes.
And he's like, "Where's Nat? Where's Nat?" You know. And there's that great scene where they're taking off the armored or that bus that Ultron is taking Vision in, and they're going after it, and he's has to leave her.
Yeah.
It's a big struggle for him.
I mean, their relationship is key there. I mean, I think it is. I mean, similar to the Quicksilver Scarlet Witch. I mean, it is almost a sibling relationship.
I mean, his kids say, "Where's Auntie Nat?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, she knew the wife and kids and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so she's the only person who's been let in on that. I mean, and Fury obviously, who just appears.
Fury knows everything.
He does
He
just
was just hanging
appear.
out in the barn like a weird hobo.
How long had he been in that barn? Is the real question.
Months he's been waiting for him to visit.
I love that if somebody's going to get a late reveal in this movie, that it was Nick Fury.
Yeah,
I mean,
don't
he's a
know.
man who exists in the shadows.
Sure.
And then he has a helicarrier at the end of the movie.
all of that felt a little like, and Sam Jackson needs a part in this movie.
Well, sure.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I don't know.
But I mean, he does. I mean, I don't know. It does
liked
serve a plot point.
Yeah, and it serves a plot point, but it was a little like Deus Ex Machina to me. I felt like, and he suddenly appears, and he has some answers to their problems.
I mean, that happens in like every movie.
It felt way more appropriate in Winter Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
where his presence was a like large piece of that story.
Mm-hmm.
This felt more like a sudden appearance by a character that you all recognize from the last one.
I don't know. I didn't get that. I liked his appearance. I wish there was even more of him, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, there's
This
definitely,
movie wasn't as long as I wanted it to be. I've never said that before about a movie.
It's pretty
Dances
long.
with Wolves, I felt like could
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I was like, come on, give us 9 hours.
Oh, have you not seen the Kevin Costner director's cut? That's like
Oh
4
no,
hours long.
I have. I could use it a little more.
No, that's what we were talking
There's
about.
no more
John.
Costner. Actually, I hear there's a sequel in the works. I legitimately do hear that they,
More Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, more Dances with Wolves. I don't think it's called that. That'd be great though.
Dances with Wolves 2, Electric Boogaloo.
That's it. That's what I hear
Yes.
it's called.
This time it's disco.
Yeah, but it was sort of one of those things where I'm just like, who was asking for more of that? But okay,
Us.
yeah, I guess.
We made that happen. You're welcome.
But yeah, I mean, Fury.
I like
Fury does
his
his
involvement there. I also like
I like when he killed that drone with whatever that piece of metal that he jammed into its head was.
Yeah.
that was so cool. And flies in the helicarrier and he's like, okay, finish
Yeah.
it off.
Everyone's shooting at it, and then Fury just rams that
Stabs
thing
it
into
in
its
the
head. Yeah.
I like to when Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are first coming over from Ultron's team, and Cap is like, they're on the train. He's like, "Hey, how many people, can you clear the path? And like, can you stop it?" And like, how instantly he becomes the leader, and he just like sees what their powers are, sees what the potential for good is.
I thought that was
knows
a great
how to-
homage to how they initially joined the Avengers in terms of just
Because it was Cap.
it was Cap who brought them together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought that scene in the movie was just like, that's so. Just that one line was like, that's so awesome.
Right.
Yeah, well, because I mean, Cap is I mean, he's
And that whole scene
he's a
where-
soldier. I mean, it's about
looking
the
for
mission.
resources, yeah.
We'll talk about where your mental state is later, but right now we're in a situation we have to deal with it.
And that whole bit where Quicksilver's running ahead of the train and like grabbing individuals. I read
Very
this thing
cool.
online that was kind of a weird breakdown between specifically Man of Steel and this movie, where they're talking about the collateral damage, civilian casualties, as like kind of a point in these superhero movies. In Avengers, we specifically see these heroes going out of their way to save people.
Yeah, which I really liked in this movie. I mean, it is the primary mission.
Yeah, there are a
They
couple
need-
of scenes where I'm like, where Cap's like leaping off of exploding cars to get back onto the truck, and it's like, does Cap know that there are people in those cars? Because there are totally people in those cars.
Sure, I mean,
So there's a couple of parts where it's just like,
Well, I mean-
some of the civilian stuff is brushed under the rug a little bit for the purposes of an awesome action sequence.
Well, I mean, yes, and I mean in the sense that in a battlefield scenario, there will be collateral damage.
Sure.
But Cap's going to do everything in his power to minimize it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that whole scene where they're getting people off of the Meteor M kind of like whatever Sokovia is becoming.
Yeah.
Going that artificial asteroid is super cool, and that the whole point of the last act of the movie is they're trying to save everybody.
That's primarily what they're doing. They're also fighting robots, but mainly they're trying to evacuate Sokovia.
Right. And that was a really cool, poignant part of this movie is they're heroes trying to save people. And that what puts this movie like an arm and a leg above something I feel like Man of Steel. Whereas the Superman we see in that movie isn't necessarily out to save everybody. Like, he's saving people, sure.
He is saving he is saving the world at the expense of a few cities. Whereas Cap specifically makes a point of not wanting to do that in this movie when they have a chance to blow
both.
Right. I mean, because they said, there's where Black Widow's like, if we can blow this thing up, we should do it. And he's like, I'm not leaving until every person is off of this thing.
Right.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, no,
and that's very Captain America.
Oh, yeah,
totally.
absolutely. I said this earlier, but all of the Cap Thor team up fight sequences were so awesome.
Oh, the part where he hits the shield with the hammer to do the force shockwave like at people.
Well,
is so cool.
I love that. Yeah, when he's like,
Because they learned that from the last movie, and now they're using it as a weapon.
well, and I love it too. And they're all coming out of the woods, and he's like, oh, it looks like they're lining up, and it's like, oh, well, they're excited, right? It's like they've done this before; they know how to do it.
Or
It's
when they're fighting the Ultron drones
with the lightning.
But then Cap throws up his shield, and Thor hits it like a baseball.
Yep.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Or like he slams his shield like underneath one of their necks and he gets the head knocked off.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought the fight sequences
They
obviously
did seem to
very
have
strong.
kind of they just sort of become this fighting
there was
duo.
that weird line where Captain America was like, well, this was the one guy I expected to tell me the truth all the time was Thor.
Yeah.
It's like there was a weird camaraderie between Cap and Thor that wasn't, I feel like, fully explored. Like when did they suddenly become like brothers in arms?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Thor is a guy very quick to call people like my brother.
Oh, sure.
We've been through battle together. Yeah.
Are you ready for another bout?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we could talk forever
There are
about
so many little
all
parts of
the
this
awesome.
movie that are so
that was
cool.
cool when this guy did this and
Yeah.
she did this and blah blah blah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it is.
And that is another big part of this movie, though, is that it's unapologetically cool.
Yes, very much so.
There are so many just like cool things in this movie.
Well, and it's something I said about Into Darkness when it came out. Is this movie, once it starts, it doesn't stop. It's just like hauling through. And I felt like every 15 minutes, the point of the movie shifted, but in an awesome and completely justified way. Like, you're doing this, and there's a dream sequence stuff, and then you're doing this, and there's the robots, and you've got Vision now, and just like all over the place. But it was just like,
But it doesn't feel like scatterbrained.
no, not at all. Everything, like I said, felt very justified, very grounded.
Yeah, there didn't. I mean, we've talked a bit about the Vision and how he could have felt like he was just crammed in for no reason.
Yes.
But-
A lot of these characters could have very easily felt like, and suddenly we have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver for no apparent reason, but they didn't feel like that at all.
No, everybody
And
comes.
it's
out.
especially true for the Vision. He could have easily just been shoehorned in at the end of the movie for no apparent reason, but he felt integral to the plot moving forward into the third act.
Absolutely, and what the movie's about in that sense, and that he's the realization of what they were trying to create
Right.
with Ultron. So
You have to trust me. I would trust you if we hadn't just created a murder bot.
great, another great line. So I mean, that's the other thing. There's so many awesome action modes. There's so many great jokes like that. I mean, Whedon's always been a master of that sort of snark and the comic relief,
The
and-
witty repartee.
Yeah, he's really good at that sort of dialogue, and also like monologues about ethics and morality and the nature of humanity and things like that.
All coming together for the Avengers. It's kind of cool.
Adds up. This is sadly his swan song.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Well, at least on Avengers movies.
We'll see.
Come on, Black Widow movie.
I mean, that's the thing. He said he's open to maybe doing something in the Marvel universe again, but this is the end of him in Avengers movies.
Yeah, because it is admittedly a like huge undertaking to create a
This
movie.
this is
the
2
Avengers.
years out of your life
Right.
at least, right off the bat, and to do a 2-part one next.
Oh, insane! I don't. That's
But the
thing.
Russo brothers are up for it apparently.
Moving forward, I have no idea what Infinity Gauntlet is going to look like.
Infinity War.
Infinity War, sure. We're going to see that taking a bit more shape as of like Civil War and some of the other like movies moving forward. But
I could even see the next Guardians setting that up in some ways.
Sure. Definitely.
Oh yeah.
But all we really get, we get a lot of stuff about the Infinity Gems in this, in the Infinity Stones in this, and we see.
I have to keep him make that
we
correction.
see Thanos at the end, and been like, "Well, now it's my turn to take care of things."
That is our mid-credit stinger of him putting on the gauntlet.
Speaking of singers, one part I was a little upset about, not going to lie, is no post-credit sequence. These movies have trained us to sit through the credits. The Marvel movie specifically.
But then the director of this movie and the producer of this movie both said,
Don't stay
because there's nothing there.
I know, but I don't know.
They weren't lying to you. That's the other thing, apparently.
I realize that. But all of these movies up until now have like a Pavlovian kind of dog scenario.
I mean, there's something. I mean, Captain America just had that weird little teaser for the Avengers.
Sure.
I mean, that wasn't a scene.
But there was always something.
There is something. There's something. There's not nothing. There's the gauntlet.
Well, that's mid-credit, though.
Oh, my God.
I'm saying every other movie up till now had something post-credits.
Incredible Hulk has nothing. There isn't even a mid-credit scene.
That thing with Tony Stark?
That's in the movie proper. The
Is that
credits roll after it.
Fine, but that was before... Like
now we're
that was
making this
before
whole thing,
10
though.
other movies, John.
Oh,
that was before the
God.
pattern had established.
Oh my God! That's perfectly fine. I mean, we stayed because we had to see if it was true. But then I went. Well, they told us.
No, I know.
And other people are going, what?
I realize that, John, but it's I don't.
Oh,
know
you
what
had to read some digital artist names and listen to Danny Elfman's score. My God,
it's true.
My
Did
God.
Danny Elfman score the first one?
I don't feel
No,
like
he did not.
I didn't think so.
To be fair, John, when I go see a movie, almost always I'll sit through the credits.
Really?
Yeah, almost always.
Interesting.
Just because I want to give credit where credit is due in the credits.
For sure.
I appreciate all the work that's been going in on these
It
movies.
did say the Avengers will return at the end.
Sure, and like I
It always
didn't already
says that.
know.
Yeah. Well, it's $600 and some million now, or whatever it's made. Yeah, they're coming back.
Imagine if this had been just a tremendous flop. Like we'd been having all of these successful movies, and suddenly this one is the one to just tank.
This would be like the way they project movies would be changed forever based on like I don't know what happened.
Something catastrophic in the movie-going experience happened.
Because literally, like, almost nothing else opened this weekend, too. So it would sort of be like, what are people doing?
No, just like surviving. Somehow, like, there was massive power outages for
That's
like,
happened.
a 4-day period or
that
something.
That has happened to movies.
A national brownout of some reason.
That has, I mean, not a national, but that has, I mean, like, just like New York having a blackout has affected the gross of movies, actually. Snowstorms and stuff. Okay, so do we want to rate this movie on a scale of 7.5?
On a scale of 7.5, if I'm going to lead this, I guess.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
Definitely going to give it a 7.38.
Okay.
It's not perfect.
All right.
Like I've said, I've raised some complaints about this movie, but overall,
They're pretty minor.
Yeah, they're pretty minor, but they stop it from being absolute perfection.
Okay. 7.38. Donovan?
I would say 7.5 if I can't say higher. I mean, I don't want to be one of those people that are like, I would give it an 8 out of 7.5.
Oh, don't break our scale.
No.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
worked so hard to cultivate.
Not yet.
Yes, we've had rigorous meetings.
This was tested through many groups, focus groups, and such things. We've determined the best way to rate movies is
Out
on
of
a scale of
7.5.
7.5, obviously. And it's only a matter of time till it sweeps the nation. Everybody does this. I agree with you. I would also give it
7.5. I mean, there are a few things that I'm like, oh, I would change or do this differently, but not even enough to move it a fraction of a
They
point.
are so minor and in the back of my head that
compared to the rest of it.
yeah, it is. It's just magic. It's movie magic.
Well,
folks.
it's science, actually.
Yeah.
We know that all
Well,
magic is science.
But this movie also takes place in a place where they are one and the same.
Yeah. It's
We'll
true.
see come Stephen Strange. Mm-hmm. Come Doctor Strange movie, we'll see.
That's gonna
if
be
we
the
can
best.
finally put this to rest of like, is there just like magic, or is there...
Well,
I
here's
don't
what it's going to
understand.
happen.
I mean,
we talked about it in the Avengers,
Them
where
being
like people
them
are
being
asking.
one and the same doesn't make it not magical, though.
Here's
no,
what
no, it's not a... It's... Nah, I'm not going to get into
Here's
this.
what's
going to
happen.
Discussion
That's its own
about Clark's
episode,
third law.
probably.
Yeah.
Here's what I forecast. Ready? Is so we've talked about in the Avengers episode, people always come to him, he's meditating, they give problems, he figures it out, whatever. They're going to come to him, he's going to hear the question, he's going to say, I have to meditate. Google search. Google search, Google search, Google. He's a tech expert. Google search.
Benedict Cumberbatch hunched over a laptop.
It's been a
Half the
ruse
movie.
this whole time.
Yeah. It's like, well, really, if you pour baking soda on it first, that's the whole idea.
Cool. All right.
Dormammu completely undone by baking soda.
I like we are huge fans of Gravity Falls on the show. I love the Grim Loblin episode where it's like in case of emergency, throw water on Grim Loblin. In a worst case scenario, as it makes him way more terrifying. He's like, why would anybody write it like that? And then the whole idea that he looks into the mirror and it's like, you've become your father. I don't know, that was just the best.
Very cool.
I think we're going to see some of that in the Stephen Strange movie.
Unquestionably.
Some mirror antics.
All right, so we all recommend
Oh yeah,
that you run out
highly.
and see Avengers: Age of Ultron, which is in theaters now.
Yes.
I'm sure you've already seen it.
Unless again something catastrophic has happened.
I mean, once again, it's made like $627 million. You've probably
As
seen
of this
it.
recording, yeah.
You've probably seen it. So that wraps that up. As we turn now to our recommendation segment, where we
As we always
recommend
do.
books or things or places that you should go. I don't know.
Places? Are we including places?
I do recommend a few places.
I mean, if you can get to Asgard, I say
Yeah,
do it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
Jotunheim, we don't recommend.
No.
Especially this
Only
time
in
of
the summer.
year.
Only
Yeah, I was
in
going
the
to say
summer.
this time of year.
That's a bad vacation.
It's
Yeah.
pretty brutal.
Yeah. It's a little cold, a little filled with
The
frost
natives
giants.
really inhospitable.
Yeah.
Like the tourist industry in Jotunheim, just not good.
Tanked.
What the hell's their problem?
I don't know.
They're protecting their rich culture. They don't want people coming in and
rich-
The
muddling
ice
that.
giant culture of we hate everybody, let's
You know
murder
it.
them.
Yeah, they don't want things like cumin getting introduced into their diet.
Can't have it.
It's too much.
no.
I'm sorry, something about that broke me.
Just the word cumin got you? All
I
right.
guess.
It's a good word.
It's like
You were an
box
easy
full of
get,
angry
sir.
weasels.
Well,
Always gets me.
Sure. I mean, it's on a cumin level, apparently.
Sure.
Yeah.
Donovan, what are
Jason.
you recommending this week?
Well, I don't technically have a comic that I recommend this
Gasp.
week because
Traitor.
I know.
Vagabond.
Well, hold off.
Hang on, is it comics related?
It is comics related.
Then you're fine.
Well then.
Because I haven't
Always
been
forget that
I
intro.
rescind my vagabond.
So, there's a few movies I had to see this week. Anything with age in the title.
Apparently, yeah.
And I've also been
The age ofs, yeah.
age of anything. If you had age of Archie, age of Pee-wee Herman, age of anything, I would have seen
Age of
it.
Pee Wee Herman's fantastic,
It-
by the way.
yeah, I have not seen
1857, and you didn't list the third one, so.
What?
What?
Oh, how old these people are. Gotcha. Anyways, I have also, in addition to that, I've been burning through the 92 X-Men series. The cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
I have a vivid memory of that show
Oh, yeah.
at my Uncle Paul's house.
Of course.
Uncle Paul's been referenced on the show a
The
couple
legendary
times.
Uncle Paul.
I think we talked about it in the first episode of this show a little bit.
I don't think we've released that episode.
No, the first episode of this show.
Oh,
Getting
getting
into
into
that one yet.
We didn't release our first episode?
we talked about Uncle Paul. We didn't talk about that. My introduction.
Oh, okay.
To the X-Men was going over and staying at his house and eating cold pizza and ice cream for breakfast and watching the X-Men
All of
animated
those
series.
things sound amazing.
And that's I had to recreate that. Anyways, they're also releasing a X-Men 92 comic here very soon for the big Marvel event. That's
The Secret Wars.
the Secret Wars that's coming up. So
Battle World.
Yeah, see, I keep referring to it as Battle World because
It's technically called because you don't want to remember the existence
well,
of
it's just
Secret
like,
Wars.
I don't see
Secret
the
War.
purpose of calling it Secret War.
No, Secret
because-
Wars. Secret Wars was already a thing. It was in the
Yeah, Secret
But
War
then there's
was
Secret
the
War.
Bendis thing.
That's good.
that I was going to say Secret Wars
Wars.
good. Secret
Bad.
Wars.
Not
That's
good.
The
And
plurals.
that S really messes things up.
Man,
You make things plural, and you got trouble in the Marvel universe.
that makes sense.
Spider-Men, Hulks, they're all problematic.
I like
multiple,
Spider-Man.
yeah, but multiple Hulks is a big problem.
No, it is.
That's a big problem for all.
But yeah, 92's X-Men.
And so I recommend that. It's great. The first watch the first episode, which is
Very good.
two
A lot of it taken directly from the comics too. I mean, they've
Oh
done-
yeah.
I mean,
and they do everything in
They
that.
do Dark Phoenix Saga. Yeah,
Their Dark Phoenix saga was pretty good.
You know, the one
that's
thing
like a 5-part thing.
is
too.
the main character is more or less Jubilee,
yeah.
which is okay.
I like Jubilee.
She's all right.
I'm a Jubilee defender.
She's all right.
There's
No
another shirt.
comment.
I do like they went for
There's
Rogue
another
with
shirt.
the X-Men.
I'm a Jubilee defender.
I'm a Jubilee defender.
Yeah.
Anyways, I highly recommend if you have. I'm sure with the internet you could watch through that whole series. It is
Absolutely. It's all
fantastic.
available on DVD as well.
Sure, if people use those. It's fantastic.
Oh, physical copies of things.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, I can't own things.
Cool. So you recommend?
I recommend
X-Men
that TV
animated.
show, and I'm really excited for the X-Men 92
Yes, I think that's going to be
comic.
Really cool. Yeah, I'll
So-
definitely read
Do we
that.
know if it's going to be a continuation of the show?
I can't tell if it's like a miniseries or a one-part thing to kind of highlight the Secret Wars, or if it's going to be. It'd be awesome if it was an ongoing series. I would read everything of that.
Cool. Gorgani, what do you got?
I have a comic book, strangely enough. Yeah.
No, wait, what? We do that?
I thought you were going to recommend a T-shirt. I thought that's what the show's about.
No. Pretty sure I haven't recommended this before.
No.
This is Second Quest. It's written by Tevis Thompson, and its art is by David Hellman. This is actually one of the first projects I ever kickstarted.
Oh, you were telling me about this.
Yeah. This is a Kickstarter comic book that was done in 2012, I want to say. November of 2012, it was Kickstarted. I was one of the backers, and I just got it a little while ago.
Wow.
It took that long, but it is done with loving care, and it is a beautiful book.
So worth it.
Definitely worth it. It is kind of Zelda-esque in its
Yes.
like storytelling. It's taking a lot of the symbology and kind of the themes of Legend of Zelda and building on those in the story it's telling about a young girl kind of finding her place in the world. And it's just really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It kind of works under the assumption that the Legend of Zelda is a legend that a people built their mythology on, and it's very interesting in that respect. I highly recommend Second Quest, written by Tevis Thompson and art by David Hellman.
Very cool.
If you can track it down.
Yeah. My
John, what do you
recommendation
got?
this week is a book called Brilliant. It's by Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley.
Of Ultimate Spider-Man
The
fame.
Ultimate Spider-Man team. They're teaming up on a creator-owned book now. It's about a group of brilliant college students in a science
You mean like
program.
Bright? They're brilliant?
Yes. They're in a college program, and they decide that most technology was at some point science fiction. The cell phone is very similar to the communicator from Star Trek and such.
Sure.
But the one piece of science fiction that hasn't been invented yet is superpowers. And so they set out to scientifically create superpowers, and then bad things happen.
Well,
Well,
I
they
can
do, and
imagine.
it's all great, right?
Yeah. Yes, nothing bad happens at all, I mean, is what I meant by that. But no, it's a really awesome comic. And if you liked Ultimate Spider-Man, obviously you want to check it out because
Yeah,
it's that team
definitely. I'll
back
have to
together
read that.
doing their own thing now.
Cool.
Yeah, really
As
awesome.
Bendis is wont to do.
I don't know how that guy does what he... I mean, it's amazing, the output of stuff.
There are clearly 6 Bendises who are all doing it at the same time.
That'd be
Bendis-I?
amazing. Yeah.
See, again, we get into the whole plural thing, and it causes problems.
Yeah, we're having problems right now, you and me.
The Johnny Royale henchmen were based on him.
Oh.
That makes sense.
Yep. For those of you who've read Powers. So if you like our podcast, you can follow us on Twitter.
You should. If you like us, you should follow us on Twitter. I
You
think so.
can and you should.
Okay,
we
thank
are
you.
at Panel on Panels. We're also Panel on Panels on Facebook. And you can subscribe to us on iTunes. You probably already do, but if you don't,
You could.
go ahead and do that. And if you do, go ahead and do us a favor and rate and review us on there as well.
We'd appreciate it.
That'd be really great. Yeah.
Join the legions who have already done it.
Oh, so many. if you can go through the ocean of reviews, it's dangerous, but I recommend
They are tepid seas at best.
Oh, yes. I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. For Panel on Panels, I'm John Campbell.
I am currently Mike Gorgoni.
And I will always be Donovan Eilert.
All right, keep reading comics, everyone. And remember, #Archie is our stalwart.
#Archie is our stalwart.
#Archie is our stalwart.